All right. Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to our final broadcast for season two of Wheel of Time. We're going to talk about episodes five through eight, which is the last three episodes of the season. And today with me, I have Tristram slash Mask. Andrew might be popping in later today, maybe. We'll see. And of course, we have me for the purposes of today, the Forsaken Centrist. I know there's a little bit of a delay, lag time between me and Tristram. So if you hear us like slightly talking over each other, it's because of that. Sorry. Uh, but yeah, I guess we'll take a cue from how we discussed this last time, and we'll just go ahead and go over particular story arcs. I know there's a convergence, so maybe let's go ahead and talk about the story arcs from episodes 6 to 7, and
Okay.
then we can kind of just like discuss eight
The
as a
finale.
whole, since there is a total convergence that happens there. So I guess we'll go ahead and start with, I guess, the bad. Did you want to talk about Lan and Moraine here?
Yeah, it. uh, I mean, I don't think we can add massively to what we did before, but it's this arc of Lan and Moraine is problematic in two specific ways for me. One,
Hmm.
it is because it is badly understood mechanically. Okay,
Right.
so they have not understood, or the water bond works differently in the show than it does in the books. Now that's
Hmm.
okay, except for the fact that even the show now is inconsistent, because sometimes it portrays the waters bond as the bond in the books, and then sometimes not. So I think what we're supposed to believe has happened now is she's not never been stilled. She has been shielded semi permanently by the Dark One, and
Hmm.
while shielded permanently, she chose to deliberately mask the bond on a permanent level with Lan for for the reason it seems of I needed to shut him out because I was going through maybe trauma. But like the point that would be weird about that is that losing the water bond and even threatening to give it away is portrayed as so extreme as to be similar to like in the books when someone represents giving away Lan's bond to someone else without his consent, even if she was dead, it would be similar to almost like raping him. That's lit, and
Hmm.
that's sorry about that if that hit the algorithm wrong. But what I'm saying is it's portrayed on that sort of level of like you can't do this to me without my consent. I can, but I just really shouldn't. And um,
Right.
and it's just tossed around in this show as if like it's a thing that like people are a little shocked. It's like just like basically dumping your boyfriend, nothing more. And that it just doesn't make sense. It's it's a very poor problem for them to have because it makes both of them seem less than they are. It damages both characters and it benefits neither. And then when they come out of it in the last episode, the payoff is very weak, really, for something that has been completely manufactured out of whole cloth to little benefit. I assume that it was to try and make there be some drama in their relationship, but it damaged both characters. It mechanically is flawed, and it messes up the fact that the stilling didn't have a stilling, and they should have all known that. Even though she can't supposedly see weaves of Sidon, she can absolutely. Everyone can. She's been shielded before. Everyone's been
Right.
shielded before. Being shielded is not being stilled. Everyone knows that. It's bizarre, and they it just portrays Moraine as a bit stupid and like she doesn't fully understand what the power is or what the water bond is, and it portrays Lan similarly. So yeah, didn't like that. Found that annoying. Um, but in these episodes, the key point is Lan, who has been pushed away to go with Alana, takes matters into his own hands. He reveals to Alana secrets about Moraine, which is crazy. He like would not. I
Yeah.
mean, they threaten him. They're like, "We'll make you tell us." But again, if you know Lan from the books, good luck with that. Like Alana and her warders aren't going to torture him, because torture can break anyone eventually, but they're not going to torture him. So how would they go about doing that? How would they break the man who makes mountains look weak? No way, no chance. Anyway, so Lan for some reason just crumbles and betrays Moiraine's trust, and then they go to Swan, and we'll have to talk about her character in a minute, because then they give her a character assassination. And so, but actually, it makes sense if they think that Moiraine has jumped off a cliff, go and get her best mate who understands the secret and tell her what's going on so that she can bring her back into the fold. Okay. But then obviously what they do with Swan is bizarre. And then, so the other thing is then that after that whole thing goes down, Lan and Moiraine decide to go behind Swan's back with a member of the Forsaken. like they don't think that Lanfear's just a little bad girl. They're treating her like a demon, like a devil. Moiraine already slit her throat in this series, remember? They know that she is full on super evil, and they're gonna go behind her back with this super evil girl and head off through the ways together. Really? Really? And so again, I just don't think that they've treated their characters very well, and I don't think their alliance with Lanfear really works. That's my view on that. I understand Rand working with her much more so. He's younger, he's more easily compelled, he's partially in love with her, at least dazzled by her beauty, manipulated by her cleverness. But Moiraine and Lan, bizarre. So that's my feeling about that sort of arc. It doesn't seem to really fly with me. I'm glad they gave Lan a bit of a backbone. At least enough of a backbone to run to a strong, powerful woman to seek help. Everything else was a bit dry. I prefer what happens in 8, because in 8 they drop it.
Right.
And that is
they're trying to resolve that particular problem when Lan gives her the secret to undoing the shield.
Yeah. Because it shows
to resolve fully the issue right at the beginning of 8.
Yeah. Properly resolve it. Absolutely. Lan proves to her by betraying her to Swan, he does more damage, or at least that's the way it's portrayed. I can't believe he went behind my back. And with good reason. He wouldn't have gone behind your back. But if you treated him like the Moiraine in this show, you should be completely expecting this to happen. You told him to bum off with Alana. You told him that you're not my warder anymore, you're hers. Well, then why shouldn't he tell them that you're risking the world? So she's shutting him out and stuff and keeping secrets, and it's all a bit bizarre. It doesn't sit well. I don't think it's good for the show, and it's absolutely terrible if you understand their characters from the books.
Yeah, I found it a contrived storyline that was
just unhelpful.
Yeah, I get why they did it, but it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah,
I would have rather them have focused on the other characters and create this kind of contrived thing, and for drama's sake, to keep more Rosamund Pike on the screen. That's kind of what it feels like. I didn't mind her going to Carrion and having those interactions with her own family. I actually don't mind that, because it's interesting backstory stuff here. I don't mind that expansion. But when it came to the complete breakdown of Lan and Moiraine's relationship, and this doesn't really take place ever in the books. She does inform him about a particular action that happens later, but she does this. She keeps some information close to her chest.
Yeah.
But she does this to protect everybody, and it's not. She isn't malicious about anything.
But also
go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right, But in the books, right, Moraine does have some secrets, and Lan doesn't ask for all of them because he doesn't need them all. Because
Yeah,
Lan
it's because
knows,
he trusts Moraine fully, and he
yeah, and
doesn't need this information in order to feel safe with her. He just
absolutely.
has complete trust in her.
But she treats him with that same trust back. Like she
Hmm.
would never not tell him something that's relevant to her safety. And when she talks about passing the bond in the books, it's like, if I'm dead, I'm not going to let you just go kill yourself. So
Right.
I've arranged the bond to be passed. But the reason is not because I want to keep secrets and naff off and you're not important. It's because she's like, I know that if I die, I'm one of the few things that stops you going to commit suicide trying to take on the blight on your own. That's the
Hmm.
point. The reason that she is prepared to do something so horrific as pass his bond without his permission is because she is afraid he will commit suicide otherwise. Like, that is
Right.
how intense. And they portrayed in this show in season 1 that when the warder loses his Aes Sedai's bond, that is kind of what he does. Like, it's that extreme.
Hmm.
So that would have made sense if she'd said, look, Lan, just so you know, I've made an arrangement that if I lose my life, I'm going to do this. And then they could be angry about that. And that would make more sense. But this petty behavior, like teenage boyfriend and girlfriend who've had a falling out, the silent treatment and the deliberate put downs, go get me my dinner, are like just pointless and stupid and 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 unfitting for the team that they were supposed to be. I also find it odd that the way they bring Lan back and show him as competent is having him go behind her back with Alana to Swan, which is just not in his character. And secondly, to solve a problem to do with the One Power, which is also like not Lan's thing at all. And just, nah. So I agree. I think they should, if you wanted to have Rosamund Pike and him on screen more, they should have made the conflict dealing with Rand not wanting to be controlled. So Rand's like,
Hmm.
no, I'm bucking against your control, and have that be the tension. Let Rosamund and maybe have Lan be like slightly undermine her because he
Hmm.
thinks that Rand should be a little bit free and have his own feet to stand on, which we get a little bit with Cat crosses the courtyard scene and when he
Right.
prepares him and face the Amyrlin. That would have been a much more interesting, subtle character problem between him
Hmm.
and Moraine.
Well,
And
I'm glad they
uh,
included that.
yeah,
I'm
even if
a
it was
fan
late,
of.
agreed.
Yeah.
I really wish we'd seen more of Lan mentoring the boys, especially Rand. I wish we'd been able to see a proper like sword training session and things like that. But I know it's time, right? How do we
Mhm.
do? We don't have enough time in the Wheel of Time. But yeah, I agree. I'm really glad that they did include that sequence and that they showed that Lan does prepare him and gives him that kind of warder experience. Um, yeah, because and one of the things that people don't talk about because no time is when Egwene's going to the tower, she's like, "Oh, Rand, you can be my warder." Like that's
Oh
like one of
yeah,
her,
that's
and
right.
that's one of her initial thoughts. And like,
Mhm.
and remember at this point in the Great Hunt, Egwene still thinks that her and Rand might happen in the books. Like it's like it's not completely over between them, and
Right.
that those kind of dreams are still there. Like when Egwene's rescued, she's like, I kind of hoped it would be Rand and Galad, charging in on white chargers, because she's still in that kind of phrase of mind. But yeah, I think they could have. I know that Rosamund Pike needs to be the main character, but I think they made a bit of a mistake. Not a bit of a mistake. I think this entire arc was a mistake,
Right.
mechanically and character wise, and it was unnecessary for the plot. And that's why in episodes, end of episode 7 and the beginning of episode 8, they go, yeah, just forget we did that. It's all sorted now. And
All
you're like,
right.
all right,
So a
next.
couple things with them. What do you think about Moraine's interaction with her family?
Okay, so I'm fine with the some of the dynamics, like the idea that she's from this super important, noble, caring family, could have been sitting on the throne herself, is
Hmm.
actually true. I think it's super annoying that they decided that she's like 80, 90 years old when she's like 40 in the books. And
Hmm.
like she was like a young girl when Rand was born, not like an already Aes Sedai already raised the shawl, any of that. She was like an accepted, and
Mhm.
I think that's sad. But it doesn't really make a difference. It's not a big deal that they've changed it. They
Mhm.
obviously wanted to talk about Aes Sedai are so sad because they lived so long. That's why they did it with Leandra, and that's why they're doing it with her. I think the way she treated her family was just inept. I don't think Moraine would do that. She would absolutely be above them and absolutely expect them to jump to her whims. But she's an expert manipulator. She's a politician. She's a crafty spy master. She wouldn't go in and just randomly insult people for the sake of not having tea. I mean,
Right.
what? It's just stupid. And I'm assuming that the show's saying, you see, Moraine is so traumatized that she's completely changed character to show that when people are traumatized in real life, they can go through huge character change and struggle to interact with people, and that should be forgiven because it's based on trauma. I guess that was the story. I hope that's their idea, maybe. But I love the idea. I love the dresses, the clothes, the style, the idea that like somehow she's come back thinking everything will be the way it was and it isn't. I like the way it made the point that something for her is very brief, for them has been years, that she hasn't kept in touch. That shows that Aes Sedai truly do break all bonds with
Mhm.
their previous lives. I like the fact that they showed that her that Barthanes was politically astute, but
Right.
also at the end they show that he's dark, and that's actually correct. And so,
That is correct. Because in the book they weren't related, from what I
well, no, they
remember.
are related. They are related,
Were
just
they?
not. Yeah, but yeah, he is from her house, but
Oh,
she has almost no interaction with him. Um,
right.
but that so their use of that makes complete sense. And obviously,
Okay.
he dies in the when the Trollocs
Yeah,
burst
I
out.
thought. Didn't Tom kill
Yeah, there's a whole thing, a whole breakout. Loads of people die. Fireworks go off everywhere. It's where Matt first gets his ideas for using fireworks as weapons, right?
him? Right.
Um,
The Illuminator.
at
Yeah.
the Illuminator, and so all that goes off, and it's that disaster actually that gets Aludra fired. But anyway, but they're obviously just skipping all of that, at least for now.
Right.
But I am glad that they show that, because one of the things it shows is, and I think actually this is something I've got to give the show props for. I think it's done a good job showing a variety of Dark Friends. I
Hmm.
think that's been a good thing. Like Padan Fain, the girl in the pub, um, and now Barthanes, like showing that like he's actually a nice guy. He's not pretending to be a nice guy. He is a nice guy, but his greed and his
Somewhat.
desire has twisted him.
Right. Because he was going to what put the kibosh on Moraine
Yeah,
because he had
because
orders to do
he
so.
swore his soul to the dark.
Hmm.
And like that's the thing, is one of the things that the books show is that people swear themselves the dark, thinking that they're maybe never going to be called to do anything.
Right.
And then when
Right.
those things come due, they're like, oh, I really have no choice, do I? And it's like, no,
Hmm.
you don't. You don't have a choice. And if you think about Ingtar, when they're burying the Dark Friends, and like, why are you burying these guys? They're like evil. And he's like, well, you don't know. You don't know what their motivations were. You don't know what they maybe struggled with. They must have had their reasons, even though they were wrong. And like, they look at him like, what are you talking about? But obviously, we know that Ingtar himself is, I mean, he isn't in the show, but we know in the
Yeah.
books.
They could have. I guess we just didn't have time.
Yeah, it was never revealed that he was an open dark friend in the book. But in the book, it 100% is revealed that he is a dark
Right.
friend. And when he stays and sacrifices himself, as he does in the show, which I'm very proud of, good job, show writers. I wish that it had come out that he was a dark friend and then sacrificed, but it's not necessary.
Right.
When you don't have time
Right.
to show much more important things, fair play. And we in the readership can know that he was a dark friend, hoping to use the horn to erase his sins. And he does sacrifice himself for them, which is awesome. It's exactly how we should have got out, and he did. Kudos, great
And
scene.
we may get on the side later on that he was a dark friend.
Yeah,
It's certainly possible.
Yeah, or in like the X-ray stuff, when you watch the behind the scenes stuff. Like, by the
Right.
way, if any of you notice these careful woven things that never show but actually hinted, that I'm all up for that. But what I'm saying is, I do think the show has done that well. The Dark Friends thing, I think it's shown that they're not all just random psychos, but they all have
Right.
something that they want, and they make a deal with the devil, and then the
Yeah.
devil calls his deals in, and
Yeah. It's kind of like it's like It's almost like there's the mafia,
yeah,
and you get a loan from the mafia, and then after that, you're like entrenched. Like
yeah,
there's no way to get out of it.
and
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 they'll
and that's
make you do
exactly
the
it.
worst things to pay off that loan that will never be paid off.
And the implication at the beginning is that it isn't. We're just all family here. We're just helping you out because you need a hand and we got the money. But the Dark Friends saying that, like, you want power? I can give you power. You want extra life? I can give you extra life. You want to have that girl? I can help you get that girl. You want that land? I can help you get that land. But then at some point it comes due, and I'm sure brothers didn't think it was going to be, you got to kill your aunt, but it
Mm,
was. And then if you say no, then you die. And he's spent
mhm.
all this effort rebuilding his house. She's also treated him like dirt in the last 2 weeks, which doesn't help. And so it was good. I liked that sequence. I thought it was well handled. I liked the fact that they, locked him up and ruined his plans, but they didn't just straight up murder him either. Like,
Right.
yeah, because they're heroes. That's not what they're like.
Mhm.
Good. And clever. They tricked him and showed a cleverness and an astute approach. So I liked all that. I thought the family stuff was okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into one of the more heavy-hitting characters of this arc through 6 and 7. Do you want to talk about Egwene?
Okay, Egwene. Right. Well, I think Egwene's arc is pretty good. Like,
Hmm.
they absolutely show the Suldam Damane thing really well. They hit home those points. They show some of the mechanics. Um, they show her like being forced and manipulated and abused, and they didn't pull back on that. And I'm glad they didn't. They make you hate the Suldam, which is great. You should hate the Suldam. They make you sorry for the Damane, which is great as well. They use the woman from the Yellow Ajah and the woman from the Blue Ajah, who actually are Damane in the books. So that was really clever. I like that. Those are nice little touches. Even her name, Rhea Arena, is from
Hmm.
from the books, which I thought nice. Pièce de résistance. Good job there, showrunners. Though her capture, by the way, in the previous episode we didn't talk about it, but her capture is stupid because she's out with her warder, like, we're gonna let them see us because we know that they know someone's channeled. So they go out
Uh-huh.
and fight, and the fight is awesome, and they're forcing the channelers to kill them, and then she stops, and so they leash her. But she could have easily forced them to kill her, which was always her intent. But then
Right.
she stops fighting and lets them kill her and lets them collar her. The very
I
thing that
think
she
it's
wanted to
because
avoid.
um, she could have been shocked from
Yeah,
the death
the
of her
warder death.
warder.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying, ah, it's just the
Because
way
it goes to the bond, so it's not
it
just
does.
watching him die. It's a
It,
totally different experience.
correct. But what do you bet that she's if that because they knew they were going out to die, right? They knew
Hmm.
they were going out to die. They were intending to do it. But also, like, how much cooler would it have been if she'd gone into battle rage mode and like just blown the crap out of them, and then they'd blown the crap out of her? And you go, right, yeah, we're all dead. Like, that is what you went for. And I when the bond breaks, some warders cry and kill themselves, but if they can, they die trying to kill whoever killed their Aes Sedai. They
Right.
go battle rage crazy. I just I would have preferred that. I found that a little. But you're right. The water bond break is absolute justification that it could have just shocked her into paralysis. But anyway, and she is Damani in the books as well. So fair enough. So I like that. I like the way they use Rena. I think they didn't pull back, which is good. They did give some of those points, especially like the way they talk to them, like their pets, was quite good. They used the word the kennels, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Very, very nice. The training was interesting. I wish that they'd done like one of the things, because one of the things that I really like in the books is she's like, they've got me to want to please them. And so we went out channeling, and I was able to find ore in the ground, which most women can't do well, because I'm actually very good with earth for a woman. And they've like not had me blow up anything since, because actually anyone can blow stuff up, but you can find things with a power that no one else can find. It's more useful to us. And I think that's interesting, showing them that they don't just see Damane as weapons, they see Damane as useful tools in whatever way. And so but I know we didn't really have time for that nuance. So I forgive that. It's a tiny little quibble, but it would have been nice to see some of that stuff and see her start to want them to be pleased with her, even though inside she is furious. But I think they handled the sequence pretty well. The only thing I struggle with is, again, the mechanics. And but we'll get into that when we talk about episode 8, because that's where the mechanics failures are demonstrated. I don't know why they didn't just have the leashes attached by a wire like they are meant to be. I don't know why they didn't just have them be collars. I don't know why they had to like magically create something from nothing, because they don't grow and disappear. They don't magically open and shut either. They have a latch that you trigger. And it doesn't matter that they have a latch. The Damane can't touch it. And so I don't know why they had to have them do this sort of like CGI magic-y thing. I don't know why they had to have like glowing bands slip between the bracelet and the neck. Like, I just think that was a waste, frankly, and made something more weird than it needed to be. And the pacifiers were stupid as a choice.
The avocados.
Yeah, like if they'd wanted them to look gagged, what they should have done is put like almost like a ninja mask over the bottom half of their face. So it's like showing that you don't speak, you're just Damane. But it just would have looked way better. And I guess the avocados are meant to show that they're humiliated, I guess. But it looks terrible. And it distracts from every scene in which they are present. But the actual sequence of training, the torture, the way that like Ren tries to break her and she struggles, but eventually allows herself to be controlled, but is still fighting. All that was good. Good acting. I don't know why they cut her braid off, but hey, it felt like the kind of thing a Sul'dam would do to like separate her from her identity. So yeah, I'm okay with all of that. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Mechanically, I have some problems with it because they break some of the mechanics, especially in the last episode. And they do it for a stupid reason, in my opinion. But we'll get to that.
What do you think about the yellow turning that Sul'dam into a pretzel?
Just like, yeah. Like the point is, if she is in the last defense of her own life, she can do it. Now, my question is this. One of the things we see in the books is that the Aes Sedai are rubbish at using the power as a weapon. They are terrible at it because they have almost no practice. She looked pretty practiced, didn't she? She looked pretty ace at using the power as a weapon. So I found that a bit annoying.
I would say that she used the power to kill in the way I think a yellow would do it.
Yeah. Well, I again, like, it was cool, right? Like, I'm okay with it, and she's like trying to fight, but I'm just saying, I would have expected them to show that when the Aes Sedai use the power as a weapon, they're just not very good at it because they almost never use it as a weapon. They can't. Who do you practice on? Most Aes Sedai, remember, have never even seen a dark spawn. Like, it's not something.
They can practice on objects, but not really on people much.
But why would they? Like,
I guess the Greens would kind of need to.
Well, yeah, but the Greens all talk about there being the battle Aja, but like they don't really fight anyone. So like it's like that's one of the things in the books. Like, you call yourselves the battle Aja and you have a captain commander, but actually you don't fight nobody. You're just saying that. And so it's like, yeah. But anyway, I get it. The show's a bit different. The Aes Sedai are far more kick-ass. Fine. It's not a problem. And I do think you're right. It was a very yellow way to do it. It wasn't just a fireball. And I do like the fact that they're like, you can have some of what you've been dishing out, which was pretty cool. And I love the way they show that if a Sul'dam or Damane is killed, that does affect the other. Like, because the Damane feels what the Sul'dam feels, when the Sul'dam's being crushed, the Damane is like completely incapacitated. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a clue for the Watchers or the people of Rangland to go, oh, there's a way to beat these guys. There's a way to beat this weapon. It has a weakness. And that's one of the things I like about Jordan, is he has all these people with powers, but they all have weaknesses. No one is invincible, which is my problem with the whole way that they got the Forsaken wrong. And said, oh, yeah, you can rip their throats open and they just don't die.
Right.
Well, you've made yourself a problem there. But anyway, good luck with that, showrunners. But yeah, I like that combat. That combat was sweet. I loved her warder as well. I think he was absolutely awesome. Just perfect.
All right. Next, I wanted to talk about Perrin. I know he doesn't get a whole lot of development in 6 and 7.
But it's all good what he gets, don't you think?
Yeah, his development is tied to Aviendha, and I'm liking so far her portrayal in this.
Yep.
And what do we got for 6 and 7? And
so we see Aviendha get beaten up
right.
because she was supposed to be protecting people, but she went fighting instead. Because of that, other things went wrong. And she knows that, like, she wants that off. So she wants to suffer the punishment so she can be done with it. And her sisters help her meet her Toh, which I thought was quite nice. I think there's going to be some people watching that going, that is weird. But you're supposed to think that. The Randlanders think that's weird. But that is absolutely, she's like, a beating is nothing compared to me feeling like I've let down my duty. Great. Love that touch. Went on maybe longer than it needed to. Like, you can just show us that quite quickly. But they obviously wanted to show that they're super badass. I've liked all of Perrin's interactions with Aviendha. I like all of Perrin's interactions with Hopper, how he discovers his name, how it shows he's becoming more comfortable with him. These last episodes of Perrin's power and the way they've made it clear that the visions are just the wolf dream and how wolves send ideas through sense, and they're just portraying that as visions. I am so much happier with Perrin now than I was before.
Right.
And I think Perrin has not only a good, but I would say an excellent episode 7. They really, 8. They really, really.
8 is great. Yeah.
Yeah. They get a bunch of stuff that needed to happen for his arc, and they've brought it in. I'm fine with him having Aviendha be the Gaul. That's like, okay. And it's going to make it quite interesting when I think she and he might become like drinking buddies when she gets together with Rand. And so it could create an interesting challenge, right? A little bit of fire. And also, I'm now going to be really interested to see how Aviendha interacts with Faile when Faile turns up, which could also be really interesting, because if Aviendha is now portrayed as like a proper buddy of Perrin's, and like even like a Chewbacca, I'll watch your back kind of person, that could create some really new and interesting dynamics for Perrin with Rand and Perrin and Faile. And I'm
going to need to be jealous of somebody.
Yeah, and I'm there for it.
Bring Barrowlane in, or they're just going to kind of.
They've got to bring someone in. But the thing is, Aviendha, I don't think is quite the person to do that with, because despite her being hot, she's like a dusty, I'll kick you in your face hot, rather than I really hope that they have a full-on, ridiculously pretty and sexy Barrowlane or Barrowlane stand-in, and just have like, I don't think they'll bother with the idea of Maine because it's just not important enough. But maybe when they go to Tyr, they'll just have her be the princess of Tyr or whatever. But they should absolutely have someone who is, got all the right attributes, boobalicious, legs that go for days, dressed in ridiculously sexy clothes, and just have her go, boom, I want this guy. and everyone's like, oh, it would be hard to say no to her. And we need that so that you can see that Perrin is just like too nice to say no, but also understands how pretty she is. And then that can be, I really hope they do that, because that jealousy thing is important and we do need to see it.
Right.
But I think that she could be jealous of Avienda as this female buddy that Perrin has as well. And
Mhm.
and Avienda could even be like, don't hang out with her. She's annoying and dangerous. And so it could be a good challenge, and I like that. So
Okay.
I'm okay. Not much happens in his storyline in these 2 episodes, but the bits that happen, I'm very comfortable with. I think they're like Perrin's not giving up. He's not turning away. He's getting back in touch with Loial, Ingtar, and the crew. But he's trying to go back and rescue Egwene. He won't leave his friends. This is Perrin for me.
Okay, great. What do you think about Rand's development from 6 to 7?
By the way, I think Andrew's here.
Oh, is he? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get him in here.
Rand, again, I like Rand's development. Hey, I like Rand's development. Again, I don't think they've made Rand enough the main character, but they get him to farm. Well done on that show. I think Rand choosing to work with Lanfear makes more sense than Moraine or Lan doing it. You know, I expressed how unsatisfied I was with Lan and Moraine doing it when we now know who she is. But Rand feels he can't get away from her. There is an attraction between them. She's had him at her mercy and not killed him before. He sees her as powerful in a way to... Yeah.
She has aided
So,
him. That's interesting too.
And like setting her against Ishmael, like I can see that, enemy versus enemy. Yeah, okay. So I don't mind Rand opting into that deal the same way I mind Moraine and Lan doing it. It bothers me. I think it's more in character for him, more out of character for them. But also, like, Rand suddenly got like really good with the power, like super good.
Right.
And like, where's all the training? Like he hasn't had any. Like I thought they were going to show like at least a couple of times of him being trained or practicing with the weaves with Logain, and they just didn't do it. They're like, accept that you can channel, and Lan feels like, do it, let it loose. And so he has, but now he's able to like cut weaves. Like he can cut weaves, but like, and at least it shows that he's a bit shaky, but like he's suddenly gaining all this finesse with no one to show him, when the whole point of Moraine and Lanfear's little move was to say he needs to have a man teach him. We can't teach him. And then, so I found that very frustrating. Not frustrating. Not that's too much. I found that a little annoying. That now he's become.
I'll say this, like,
proficient.
Just thinking of his journey, like in comparison with the books and his weaves, I think it's more like an Aes Sedai will create weaves for every everyday thing that they know how to do. I don't think Rand is at that level, but I know that by this point at least, when he's under some type of dire or desperate, when he has to do something dire or desperate, he's able to do it without exactly knowing how he did it. I don't think they portray it well here, but that's a possible explanation, because we do know he does some crazy stuff without training. I think one thing to mention is when, in book 3 at the very end, when he killed the Trollocs with that crazy explosion of the power, that is quite intricate for a user at his level.
But he also does it in he does the massive explosion in the end of book 1, right? But it's one thing to unleash Sedan and just have it blow a bunch of people up. It's another thing to undo a shield that's been left by a member of the Forsaken. Like it's a bit more intricate, but I'm with you. Intuitively understanding something and making leaps is absolutely in Rand's ballpark. And it's always said in the books that the more powerful people can learn more quickly. That's also like completely canon. And it isn't. I don't really mind him cutting loose the shield. Like, it is useful as well. They mentioned that it's easier to cut than to unweave it or to unpick it. I like that, and that you need to use Sidan on Sidan. Okay, cool. I'm liking all of this. I like how he confronts the Amyrlin seat, but I think we need to talk a little bit about Swan now that we're talking about Rand.
Yeah, we could talk about Swan for sure.
Should we wait till Andrew's back in?
He got kicked out.
Yeah, he's
Let me
back.
Bring him back in. All right.
Because
There we
I'd
go.
be interested. I'd be interested on Andrew's point on this. We're just talking about 6 and 7 first, Andrew. And we're just on the Rand arc, and Swan is like, they reveal what happened, right? They show the flashback with her and Moiraine. They see them getting the foretelling by Katara Sedai about the dragon is born. Okay, so like us two have had this secret coalition. They get it all out in the open, and then she's like, "Our plan is to take the dragon and leash him to save him for the last battle." And we've tried not to do that, but now you've been unreliable, so we are going to do that, right? Okay, couple of issues. If you want to change Swan's character to be stupid, right, which is what they've done, they've said that Swan has already rejected that idea because, like, no, if we try and do that to the dragon, it's not going to work for us. So she's already said, I know this isn't a good plan, but now she's going to do the plan that she already knows is a bad plan. But if she is going to do the bad plan, and she has 14 freaking Aes Sedai with her, why in the world would she confront the most powerful channeler in the world that she knows is the most powerful channeler in the world on her own, sitting on her chair alone? She would not. She would freaking link with a full circle of sisters and go, you are now shielded. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just doesn't, seemingly through sheer hubris, is just moronic for someone who is super powerful and super clever, which Swan is. She might have been born a fishwife, but Swan is powerful and she is sharp as a blade. She is a spy master. And like, come on. Show me this woman who is like the Pope of her world, the Queen of Queens. Show me this woman who has it nailed. And instead, Moiraine treats her like she's an idiot. And I had to go behind your back, Swan, because you didn't have a clue. You're like, oh, you little prat. And that again shows that Moiraine isn't being acted well. And they portray their relationship. They're so interested about the fact that they used to be pillow friends. And they want them to have this romantic kind of like, hey, we're hot for each other. Yeah, they maybe, come for each other. Great. Have that in. Lesbian love triangle, whatever you want. But they also, way beyond that sexual thing, is this bond of sisterhood, mutual respect, and it's us against the world. They became the only two people left alive who knew that secret, and they were sworn to do it, and they did it. They got themselves into positions of power and influence where they could resolve the destiny of the world, and it's thanks to those two women that the boys are saved. It's thanks to those two women that Nynaeve and Egwene become the Aes Sedai that they can become. It's all thanks to Moiraine and Swan. And in this show, like, their dynamic is broken down by like, you used to be my girlfriend, but now you've let me down. I'm like, that's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
they're not. These aren't women who think with their vaginas. These are women who are like dealing with the highest level of political and magical power that is going. Swan is the most powerful person on the planet. Like, as far as they know, like, she is greater than kings. And they give her some of the pomp and circumstance, but they're just not pulling off that she is like badass, but like not in common. And so not using the circle, being so easily defeated and outsmarted. And then when they like do the thing and they come and have the power, I like the way they trick Leanne into letting go of the shield. That's clever. They don't lie, but they're like, she needs you. It makes complete sense that she needs him. And they go. I think they've given us too many hints about Varen already. I think they've portrayed Varen as really astute. So like, oh, this person's a manipulator and she's super clever and she knows everything. Instead of Varen's this ditzy bookie girl that no one would think twice about, and then it's only later they think, oh crap, Varen's really hang on, is she actually paying attention? Like, they've completely lost that part of Vern's character, which is a shame, because we have lots of clever, powerful, manipulative women. So it would be nice to have someone do a different thing, which is what Vern does. But Rand's reaction to the Amyrlin seat, I like. The fact that they make the Amyrlin seat take the Elader approach, I find super annoying and out of character. And if she did do it, she'd have done it freaking competently with a full circle of sisters, and there would have been no messing with her. And when she had him shielded, do you think for an instant that they're leaving the dragon with one woman holding a shield? Does anyone think that anyone's doing that? No one's doing that. No one is. That's just never, ever going to happen. No one is that stupid who understands what he is and what he represents. And yet they just have her be stupid. And I just wish they wouldn't. She's not my favorite character or anything, but Siuan is just not stupid. When she's overthrown, it is not because she's incompetent. And
well,
I just
at
think
least they gave her an obvious reason in the show to
yeah.
have her overthrown.
Yeah. But
so at least I feel that that's going to happen now, at least.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious that she's
wait, can I say?
Yeah, go on, Andrew. Sorry.
Can I say a few things about Siuan and Moiraine, and also that's a good point. I didn't realize some of the mechanics you were talking about there. And then also in the books they have Moiraine and Siuan pretending to be against each other, and then when no one else is around, they're doing their scheming and their plans and stuff. They're not like you were saying, oh, we used to bang. It's all awkward now. I'm not gonna tell you when I've been stilled and all this shit. Then also, in terms of the Lan and Moiraine relationship you guys were talking about just before I joined, that thing where they have this whole thing circumnavigating the dumb shit they did at the end of season 1, where she's been like stilled but not stilled, and then we find out that this shield is kind of permanent but not permanent, so Rand can cut it, and Lan teaches him to cut it, but when he cuts it he actually stabs it, so I don't see how that would work. Oh, so much dumb shit.
And the thing is as well, in the books they already know how to Tau Weaves. Everyone knows you can Tau Weaves, just it makes it vulnerable. And anyway, but you're right. And Lan's arc is teaching someone to use Saidan. Hang on a minute. Have you have Lan teach him to kick butt with a sword? Have Lan teach him how to act with honor in front of someone who's way more powerful than him? And they did have that scene in a little bit. So I would.
Well, at least we know as of season 8 why they didn't focus on him using a sword.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
We'll talk about that when we get to it. We're almost there.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's all good. And like I say, they trick Siuan. At least we get to see all of them combined. But also like Lanfear again. Just one last whinge about Lanfear. Like Lanfear goes on her like I am Megatron moment, where you stomps through. Look at me being invincible, blowing up stuff. Like there's a reason the Forsaken don't do that. The Forsaken can't do that.
That was dumb. They're like, this is like another consequence of them turning a hard magic system into a soft magic system.
Agreed. Listen to Andrew, people. That's my mantra. Because absolutely, and also the mistake that they've made making the Forsaken like immortal demons. She's walking through, blowing stuff up. The reason she can't do that is there's 13 Aes Sedai here. If they link, they will destroy you, Lanfear. They will just go, oh, see you, shielded from the power. You're now dead. Lanfear is clever and she's better at them in the power, and she's one of the most powerful women around, but she's not. She doesn't beat 13. And the point is that's why the Forsaken couldn't just barrel in and kick trash and take names. And the thing is, then it makes sense. Then it makes sense why they don't. Then it makes sense that she hasn't just killed Rand and killed Moiraine, which she could easily have done. It all makes sense because you're like, no, she has to work in the shadows. She has to pretend to be Selene. Because if the Aes Sedai realized she's right there, they would unite and kill her. And and also, by the way they solve the problem is doing something that Aes Sedai also can't do. They don't know enough wind weaves to actually make it rain. They clearly don't have that ability. Hence 6 books of needing to work with wind finders, because no one can use the bowl of the winds properly because they can't manipulate the weather. And the manipulation of the weather by the Dark One later is going to be a big deal. And they're like, so not only did they have the circle not take down Lanfear, which it could have done, but instead it has it make it rain, which is also something that they can't really do. And I'm just like, mechanically, Rafe Judkins or whoever's writing this show does not understand the power, and really they should have read the books a few more times and got a grip on how they're going to do the power. Anyway, so that's a tiny gripe. That's a gripe that only I have, but it's still annoying.
I remember too, before season 1 came out, Daniel Green was interviewing this woman who had scholarly expertise on the books, and she was going to be a consultant on the show. I don't know what happened.
No, I'm sure they're consulting. It's just like, I always remember an old Transformers episode where Soundwave says to Megatron, the gun you're using is going to overload, and he says, your advice is noted and ignored. I feel like someone like Rafe or someone is going to these consultants. Your advice is noted and ignored. Because I know, for example, that Brandon Sanderson definitely says that he made some comments about, for example, Perrin's arc in season 1, and he said they didn't choose to go that way, but it's their show. So yeah, I think there's some of that going around. I have my art that I want to display, and it's going to be this way. But they need to be consistent, at least with themselves. And we'll see. Well, we have seen that they're just not. They're just not at all with what the power can and cannot do. So mechanically, rubbish. And the problem is, that's okay if they just decided on a different mechanic system and stuck to it, but they keep switching. Sometimes the power works exactly like it does in the books, and sometimes it doesn't. And as we'll talk to a bit more in episode 8, I'm saving this for episode 8, when I want to talk about my mechanics problems, my Soldan problems, and my 3 Oaths problems, of which I have several. But I love episode 8. It's great in so many ways, but mechanically it makes me want to bite one of my fingers off and throw it outside. just to express. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, on the next note, I think we should talk about Matt, and then after Matt, we'll just dive into episode 8.
Yeah, I didn't like most of what happened to Matt.
So what do you think about Matt?
Matt? Well, okay. 8 was pretty decent. I like that. But
yeah, but we're not getting it. Do episode 8 at the end.
I was like, what was this? I guess this Matt is very, very unsure of himself, and
I'm okay with that.
Dark Friend T is what kind of made him the Matt that we know. This Dark Friend T.
But Matt's scheming with the Shamael, and Min is scheming with the Shamael to get Matt to kill Rand, to get Matt to kill Rand.
Everyone's scheming with Shamael in this freaking show. But the thing that they're going for with Matt is he's lived loads of lives in the past, which is fine because we know he has. But one of the things is, I'm worried now that they might be skipping out Ruidian and the twisted doorways entirely.
That's such an awesome part of Matt in the books, though.
I agree with you, man, but look at some of the things they did in this series. They've established that Matt has previous lives where he was a hero, and also lives where he's been the villain. And they do that by drinking the tea, right? I don't think that tea's meant to have altered him. It's meant to have shown him, I think, different ways his life could have gone, which is what the portal stones do in the books.
It seems to me like some sort of psychedelic drug trip from that tea, showing you your past lives and stuff.
I think that's exactly what they're going for, Andrew. 100%. And kind of sometimes people describe those psychedelic trips as being actually you can get incredible clarity of thought. sometimes in those states, and like that idea of like opening your third eye or whatever, like seeing beyond what is the mundane. And we see some of Matt's fears, we see some of his hopes and his dreams. We get to see like, and obviously in this show, it makes sense that Matt's even more unsure of himself than he is in the books, but he's unsure of himself in the books because of his upbringing. You know, his mum's like a messed up person. His dad's this horrible drunk. And so like it makes more sense. And he's abandoned his sisters who were reliant on him. And he, you know, I can get it. I can get it. And then he turned away from them when they were going to the north and abandoned his friends after having abandoned his family. So it makes sense that Matt's unsure. I don't know why.
At least that part is consistent and is a decent way of explaining what they did with the previous actor playing Matt in season 1.
Agreed. And this new actor, Donald, I'm with him all the way. He's won me over. I think he's done a good job. He has portrayed a good Matt. In these 2 episodes, we get to see the drug experience, which is useful for showing why Matt's afraid, that Matt has multiple lives, why Matt is manipulatable, but also why Matt tries to resist any and all manipulation. He's more abducted, isn't he? In Dathomir, like Lanfear like takes him basically against his will and brings him to Ishmael and Farm. So basically it's just like, we will get you there by whatever means. So it just makes a nonsense of the Min thing, like an absolute nonsense of it. Like, just not. It is unnecessary because they're just gonna. If you won't go, we'll just make you go. So why did you bother trying to trick him into going if you're just gonna grab him?
Why didn't they just do that in the first place? Yeah,
correct.
Maybe they were just trying to not be like trying to manipulate and not trying to step out and I guess have to actually do the thing.
I just think it was a little bit meh. I think it could have been done a lot more cleverly if he'd been like, I'm going for Rand, and even though I'm worried that I'm going to kill him, I'm going to do my best not to. But the whole point of Matt is he doesn't believe in all this fortune-telling crap. So he's like, you're going to kill Rand? No, I won't. I'll make sure I don't. And then he goes. And again, Matt spent all his job, all of his life, it seems, getting locked in cells this series. He's like, what? And so they're going to try and force him and trick him. I'm okay with the idea of Ishmael trying to corrupt all 3 of them, like with the dreams that they see in the Great Hunt from Shaitan. It is meant to be trying to break all 3 of them, so I'm okay with that idea. And obviously they use the devil tea for that. So I don't think much happens to accelerate Matt's storyline other than we're getting him to Falm. We're showing that he's had past lives, and we're giving him a reason to be imprisoned so that we can do the thing with the dagger in episode 8. It's just like a very blunt, very awkward setup. But you know what they have now? No Min. So Min's in Farm, or she should be, and now she isn't. And why would she ever go there? And also, they've messed up Min's visions. I said that in a previous one, but one of the things about Min's visions is they're not just random visions. If Min gets a vision, it happens. And if she understands what the vision means, it means that. She is never wrong. Sometimes she doesn't know what the visions mean, but if she does know what they mean, they don't go wrong. So when she says, you will kill Rand, if she had said that in the books, then Rand is dead. What she should have said is, I see you stab him. I see you in a knife and Rand, and it means you'll stab him. That's what they should have said. But again, they don't understand the mechanics of what they're dealing with. They go too far, and then they mess themselves up. But anyway, I don't mind. He had to get to Falm. They found a way to get him there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Min was one of my least favorite characters in this season.
They've rubbished her, haven't they, though?
Yeah.
Min's cool, and they didn't do a good job with her. How much cooler would it have been if Min had been in the tower, made friends with Elaine and Egwene, and we got to see like a cool person who the sisters are trying to study her, but she's trying to be her own person. She can't quite leave, but she wants to leave. And then when they get out, she's like, oh, this is my chance to get out. Goes with them. And then she's with Avienne she's with Nynaeve and Elaine trying to rescue Egwene. That would have been cool. Or they even could have had her arrested like Egwene got arrested to show the difference of how they treat, because that's what they do in the books. They both get caught, but she's treated like Loial and anyone else who's sworn the oaths. So she's allowed to walk around, have a knife, do whatever she wants. But Egwene's treated terribly, and it would have been a really good juxtaposition. If you capture a woman who channels power, you do this. If you capture a woman who doesn't channel power, actually, as long as she swears the oaths, she's treated like this. And that could have been, I don't know, more interesting. Instead, Min is only visions. That's all she is. And someone who's so desperate to get rid of these visions that she works with evil. And yeah, they've done her character dirty. She's not interesting. She's not compelling. She's not likable. And she should be. Min should be the most likable. Anyway.
Yeah, she's way better in the books.
Well, she's super likable, right? She's in a way she's more likable than Elaine, more likable than Avienda. Like, she's really likable. She's not arrogant. She's not stuck up. She doesn't constantly try and put the men down. She goes around in her trousers when people want to get her in a skirt. She's like, sucks to be you. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be comfortable. Like, she's so engaging. And then now she's just a vision person who's desperately trying to undo her fate. Anyway.
All right. Did you guys want to? Well, I know we're kind of skipping over Elaine and Nynaeve, but to be honest,
their arc's okay.
Yeah, they kind of just showed us, how Soldom kind of like, okay, they can be captured, and what do you want to briefly touch on really quick?
Yeah, like. So one of the things I like is they have Elaine, who's the tinkerer that they've already established, kind of figure out how the collars work. Okay? I'm cool with that. That's a cool idea. Like, because that is one of the things they realize. The only people who can go to the kennels are the Soldam. We need to get a Soldam to do it. And the figuring out that's what we'll try and get a collar off a Soldam to fake it is a really good idea. I've already said I wish the collars were just a bit more like they are in the books, like a collar, a lead, and a bracelet, instead of having these sort of like magic growing collars and growing lines. I think that's a bit silly, but that's a technical issue. But I like that it's Elaine who's kind of sussed that out. I like how the Yellow Aja sister like died for them or was captured to protect them, to gave them the time to work it out, and then they very quickly figure out that they can collar a Soldam, which is pretty cool. Like, I think I would have liked that to have a bit more explanation, but they just don't have time. They can't spend the time going through it properly, but they do at least kind of explain. If you can channel, but you're super weak.
Explain it a little bit,
in 8. They do. But they've never really gone through the fact that some people will channel no matter what happens, and some people won't. The idea of a latent channeler, someone who has the ability, but it's so low that it may never fully manifest, and then people like Nynaeve who have been channeling even if they didn't want to. I wish they were doing more.
They kind of mangled the way they explained that in episode 8.
They did. I agree. They don't really express it correctly, but at least they gave it a nod. And I don't think they're handling Nynaeve's block particularly well either. Like, because Nynaeve is a wilder. She's been channeling before she even knew she was channeling. And like, when Elaine gets injured, I think that was a chance for them to show Nynaeve accidentally channeling while trying to heal without channeling. I think that would have been a really cool time to show that it isn't just when she's furious. It can be sometimes almost by accident, but they don't want to go there. Fine. But I like that Elaine figures it out. I like it showing how angry Nynaeve is and how when she's going almost too far. And you can see that Elaine's expression, the actress who plays Elaine, good job. And actually the actress who plays Nynaeve, good job. And I think she's showing her reactions, I think, are meant to be the audience's reactions. Like, Nynaeve, you're going too far. Like, but Nynaeve's so angry that they've done this that a lot of people can sympathize. These are enslavers, and Egwene is one of her pack, right? So there's a fury there that's gone beyond. So I'm okay with their arc. It's a little truncated, but it's okay.
Okay, so we can go ahead and get into episode 8.
This is the big. This is it.
Big
And
moment.
thank goodness it is. That's what it should have been, and it was.
Okay, so before we start discussing it, were you satisfied overall with episode 8?
Yes. Episode 8, best episode of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I was telling you guys before we started talking that I still like season 1 overall a lot more than season 2, but I like the season 2 finale a lot more than the season 1 finale overall, even though I definitely have some criticisms.
Agreed. Andrew, here. I have some serious criticisms, but only specific parts.
How about you, Dusty?
Let's go ahead and talk about 8. Overall, I thought 8 made the second season. I was afraid they were going to completely botch the last episode like they did with season 1. The ending of season 1, because it was so bad, kind of places season 1 lower for me. And season 2, because it had an awesome ending in my opinion, I thought the ending was great. It slightly elevates it to me.
Endings are a big deal.
Yeah, and I thought a lot of the crucial elements about these characters are starting to manifest. Like we have Perrin fully in wolf mode now, and we have Egwene past her horrible trial with the Shan Chan. We have, I guess, the only character that didn't get the proper development that we saw in the first season was Nynaeve. We have introductions of
should we go through them?
Introduction with that, So I just thought season 2, in my opinion, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more. But we can go ahead and talk about straight up 8, like what happens in 8.
Season 2, mechanics annoyed me, and Moraine and Lan's thing.
Season 2 versus season 1.
Yeah, but just Moraine and Lan's thing just ruined a lot of season 2 for me. I just spent so much time being angry about that and annoyed at the assassination of characters. But did you want to? So are we going through by people, Dusty?
We can go. Yeah, we can go through people because they kind of converge at the end. Do you want to start with?
So
we can start with. I guess it's hard because there's converging events.
But we'll talk about everyone. But should we start with the girls and do the boys? Or should we do the boys first?
So let's go ahead and do the girls first. The opening of the episode starts with the White Cloaks attacking Foam.
Yeah, but
so there's this big event that's going on.
Yeah, but the girls are all really in one thing here, right? So the White Cloaks attack, and Egwene is used as a cannon, basically.
Right.
And so she's gonna refuse to fight. They make her fight, and then she starts to do what they want, and she starts to be exhilarated by her own power. That makes sense. It's a shame they can't go with the nuance, because one of the things that happens to Egwene is because she is enslaved, the Shan-Chan make her do things that the Aes Sedai and the White Tower would have never even tried. That's one of the things. One of the reasons the Aes Sedai aren't good at fighting is because they wouldn't even try it. They wouldn't even teach you those weaves. They would often keep secret weaves from each other. With the Soldam, it's nope, no secrets. You will do everything. Oh, you can sense ore? Right, we're going to use that. You can blow people up? We're going to use that. It's always pushing them to try new tricks and do new things. And so she's she hates it, but actually she's learned from being under Rhaena. It's horrible, but she has actually gone beyond her abilities because of it. Love that. Love the fact that she shows her as resisting her all the time. And then eventually when the chance comes, she breaks free. Mechanically,
I have a lot of problems with that.
But mechanically, the breaking free is stupid because they break all the rules of the Soldam, even the ones they have told us in the bloody show, right?
And also, my biggest problem is if Egwene can do this, to her soul dom.
No,
Why the hell
she
didn't
can't.
She do that a long fucking time ago.
She can't do it to her soul dam. That's the point. She can't do it. Like she
Yeah.
can't even like the thing. And the thing is, Andrew, like you're completely right. But even more so, right? Even within the rules of the flipping show, they've shown that she can't touch an Adam. She leaves it there and says, try and touch that. And she's like, I can't. It's crippling power. And then suddenly she gets an Adam and goes, ha! Like, what? You can't touch that. You told us 2 episodes ago that it's a crippling pain to even try. You also can't touch anything that's a weapon, and you were thinking of using it against her. So you'd doubly be crippled. And then triple if she does leash you, right? And she can make you feel pain. Guess what you could do to her? The same thing.
And that's like that's even breaking a rule as an exception.
Oh,
too.
It doesn't make any freaking sense at all because they'd be just killing each other, right? I'm giving you pain, you're giving me pain, and I guess the idea is that they are both getting pain, but that she's so strong and stoic that she can handle it, but Rena can't. But then do you see what Rena does? She takes off the freaking bracelet.
Yeah.
So let's say me and you, Andrew, we're locked in a struggle to the death. I've got my hands around your throat, you've got your hands around my throat, and you go, I know what I'll do to win this fight. I'll let go of his throat and let him just kill me. That makes sense.
Because I'm smart.
Like, the one thing that's going to save me here is to stop trying. Like, it's just absolute bonkers. It defies.
I see the logic behind that, but the logic really doesn't apply to this situation at all. Like you can, I don't know. It reminds me of something like in a car chase scene in a movie. The guy who's running away, he'll suddenly brake on the vehicle, and then it'll cause a massive car crash of all the people behind him. So he'll do the opposite of what they're expecting. But that doesn't apply to this at all. That would be a really fucking dumb thing to do in this situation.
Yeah. Or like, 2 people have each other on a standoff and like, right, we can't do anything here. And then one of them goes, you know what I'm going to do? Drop my gun.
Yep.
And then the other one goes, oh, good, thank you. Now only one of us.
A Mexican standoff. I'm going to drop my gun.
And let's see what happens. And it's just like, oh, what a surprise. The woman you have tortured as a slave isn't going to go, well, you know what? Now you've taken off your bracelet. Why don't I take off my bracelet and let's be friends? Like, like she's told you that she's intended to kill you multiple times, even when it was good. So anyway, mechanically makes no sense. Character-wise makes no sense. And the thing that really annoys me, Dusty, is I'm pretty much sure that the only reason they did it is so that Egwene is not rescued. That's it. We do not want Egwene to be rescued. We need her to rescue herself, because if she's rescued, it means she needs someone else. She isn't even rescued by men. She's rescued by girls.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking too. Like in the book, she's rescued by the other girls. What the hell's the problem with that? None of them are supposed to be like this equivalent of Rand at this point.
But Egwene is. That's the problem. They want Egwene to be that. They want her to not need anyone, to be strong. This is why in the tower, she's like, I'm not going to use my hands, and I'm just going to do it even harder than everyone else. This is why she's like, I'm going to go down and try and break into a ter'angreal rings that I didn't even know existed yesterday, and try and break in and rescue Nynaeve from it, even though no one's ever done so before, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to tell the daughter of Andor to like suck it up. And you're like, hang on a minute. Like, who are you, Egwene? And she has just not needed anyone.
There are Ta'Veren moments in the books, but not this early on.
And also, right, we don't even know if Egwene is Ta'Veren. I think she is in this show, though. But like, she doesn't need it.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, here's the interesting thing. That Moraine was like, oh, we have these 5 like possible dragons, but it seems like
in the show, yes,
Samael never considered Nynaeve and Egwene as part of the equation.
Yes, they have. They've said 5. Him and Lanfear talk about 5.
Did they? Because we only saw him in the dream
in the show.
Matt and
Correct.
You never see
Correct.
them in Egwene or Nynaeve's dreams at all.
Agreed. And again, let's just admit that the show doesn't sometimes know what it's doing. So it's setting things up like, oh, it could be a boy or a girl. And then it's like, no, it really can't. And we only have time to do 3, so we're going to do 3. And it's very clear.
It reminds me of your criticism of that line of Moraine. Oh, it would have been so much easier if you were a woman.
Oh, the Swan line when she's like, if you were only a woman, when it's absolutely clear. Right. But Swan says, if you'd been a woman, it would have been so much easier. No, it wouldn't. You had a freaking plan to lock the dragon up. What does that mean? It means you knew he would be a bloke. Because if it was a woman, you wouldn't have needed to lock them up. You little idiot. You don't understand your own show. Damn it. And again, this is the problem. Is they don't want the male and female powers to be different powers that work differently.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with them being different powers. Like, this world is still literally a matriarchy. It's a matriarchal world.
Yeah, but it's just stupid. But absolutely, it would be so much easier if you were a girl. Please, can I just slap that line from the entire show?
Yeah.
And like the thing is, that's why they had these plans for the dragon, because everyone knew the dragon was going to be a bloke, and that scared the crap out of them because they need him, but he's going to be dangerous because the power's tainted.
Men who can channel are more dangerous because it drives them crazy. Like,
yeah,
that's a thing. That's if you want to do this like pro-woman shit, like that's an anti-man thing right there. Go with what's in the books.
Yeah, and it's a canon reason too. Like, even if the man is a good man, he will eventually go mad. And when people go mad and they're powerful, they're dangerous. And it shows that the Red Ajah are not just man haters; they have a purpose. Because these men did go insane and they do kill everybody. But anyway, so mechanically, that sucks. I think the reason they did it is so that she doesn't need to be rescued. And I think that's stupid. Show that they need each other. Nynaeve and Elaine have done so much to rescue her, and now they didn't really need to. Yeah, it's pointless what they did.
Yeah, it was completely pointless.
Though
I guess it served an explanation that Soldan can be collared.
Yeah, which then, by the way, Egwene works out without anyone telling her, and then Egwene uses it better than the Soldan. Anyway, rubbish. Yeah. But like the point is, Egwene being like super furious and like hurting them, great sense. But one of the things I wish they'd done is that thing where the Soldan's like, "Please tie me up and gag me, but take the collar off. Like I can't let anyone know I'm collared." And they say, "Actually, no, we're just going to leave the collar here."
BDSM line.
It is.
Tie me up and gag me, but take the collar off.
But the thing is, yeah, maybe it is. But the point is, the thing that shows is she knows if she's found by her own side, it's over. Because if the Soldan thing falls down, it's going to ruin their whole empire. And that point is not effectively made. But that's not my only mechanical problem for the day. I like the fact that Elaine gets injured. I wish that Nynaeve had healed her, like with a wilder version of healing. It's cool when she said, "You were a Wisdom before you were an Aes Sedai." And I think when she started to do normal healing, she should have accidentally channeled. And then she could have said something like, "Maybe this is what I've been doing all my life. Like maybe that's why people get better when I was using herbs, when other people weren't as effective. Maybe I've been unconsciously channeling all my life." That would have been a cool line, and very much in line with the fact that Nynaeve has been channeling and has been a healer her whole life. I think that was a missed opportunity to go for it. The other thing is, in the book, at this sequence, Nynaeve is channeling all over the place. Because when she looks at the collars, it makes her angry. When she thinks about people kidnapping Egwene, it makes her angry. And she just kicks trash. What she does with the bit of torturing that she does, I find odd. I think it's not really Nynaeve, but they try and show that it's odd by Elaine's reaction to it. Like, whoa, you've gone too far. So, okay, fair enough. So Nynaeve, I don't think was progressed particularly well. Elaine's fine, especially considering she isn't even in existence yet in the books. They're doing fine with her, and I love the way they have her turn up, and she's the first person Rand sees when he's like recovering. And he's like, "Oh, pretty girl."
Probably, foreshadowing.
It was, but the thing is, the first time Rand does see Elaine in Eye of the World, he does go like, "Holy crap!" Like, oh, who's pretty girl? And so it's cool that he had that moment, even though it's in a different position.
Yeah, I like that too.
Just
And it's
establishing.
funny. I was watching Negroes, and Carliana got really mad when that moment happened.
It's funny that you just call them Negroes.
Well, that's what it's called for short.
I know.
Everyday Negroes. Yeah, their watch of episode 8 was pretty entertaining.
Oh yeah, I have to watch that.
Yeah.
So Dusty, we didn't
hang
hear
on.
that much of your thoughts on the girls, I think.
I was kind of like disappointed that Nynaeve's arc was like had zero payoff. It's like she did all
True,
this crap
yeah.
for nothing. Obviously, it was in service to rescue Grain, and I was like, this is like pointless. Like, if she's just gonna do everything on her own, like, what was the point? They could have, I don't know. It just seemed like a poor choice to do that.
Yeah, it just didn't pay off. Just didn't pay off.
Right, and I was like, man, like at the end, the least heroic character was Nynaeve. Because she's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. She's like the most powerful Chandler besides Rand on their side, and she's just like not doing anything.
I now just want to
looking sad.
Just going quickly to the side, Moiraine and Lan. So Moiraine and Lan have been tricked a little bit by Lanfear, who kicks them out of the Waygate at Falme still. Then she travels from inside the ways to take Rand straight to the city.
Yeah.
So mechanically that's all crap, right? That's all crap. And Machin Shin would try and kill Lanfear just as much as he'd try and kill Moiraine. Okay? Machin Shin doesn't give a crap about if you're evil or good, right? So like that's all rubbish and shows a lack of understanding of the ways and lack of understanding of traveling. Plus, she's now shown Rand traveling. So anyway, all that's stupid. But anyway, it happens. So Moiraine and Lan come out, they make up, and they reestablish the bond. Okay, fine. The whole thing was pointless, but I like the fact that they brought it to an end. I like the little rebonding moment. I like the fact that they then have a fight after that, and they're clearly back together. She's channeling, and he's fighting.
Arrow in mid-flight. Like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
It must be because
I thought it was cool that Moiraine. I thought it was cool that Moiraine was back to channeling, but the way she did this from such a fucking massive distance, I didn't get that. Why? Why?
I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But just them being back together, great. But she said, and you see, this is so 2023.
Oh yeah, I hated this.
The reason I was able to say you were not my equal is because you've always been better than me. Absolutely. BS! Like everyone knows that the Aes Sedai stand above their warders. They treat them well, but it's a commander and a bodyguard. It's the President of the United States and it's his close security detail. It's not an equals relationship. It doesn't mean it's bad. You can be treated by a boss at work really well. Right, he can treat you like a human being, talk to you as an equal, like not talk down to you like you're some dumb idiot, but he is still your boss.
Yeah.
And when she says to Lan, do this, she's not making a suggestion, she's giving orders.
Mm-hmm.
They counsel together, they treat each other like adults, but one of them is a power wielder, one of them is not. One of them is someone who is a guard, a protector, and a friend to that person. And so anyway, it was a proper little 2023 thing. We're all equal, really, and we all love each other.
I interpreted it differently.
Well,
I didn't think of it as like a comment on hierarchy, but just on a comment on how one cares for the other. Like, obviously, it seems like Lan cared a lot more for Moiraine in this arc than the other way around. And I think that's
she's saying
what the comment was about.
Yeah, and I agree, but
they could have been more clear about that, though.
Well, she could have just said, you've always treated me better than I've treated you.
Yeah,
and that would be fair, especially after this crappy series. But then Like, and then he fights off like 6 guys or 8 guys, but he's got the water bond back, so whatevs. It's good. It's good. It was nice to see him be
but he
awesome.
was definitely badass in his moment.
Yeah, he got his water
He
abilities.
caught an arrow and he stabbed somebody with it.
Yeah, it was a cool sequence. But then Moraine breaks the 3 oaths.
Does she?
She blows up ships with people on them with the power.
I don't care if
can't
it'll
she-
take
okay,
1,000
so-
people or if the
You
dragon
can't-
But I
It does-
thought
You can't.
the oath
They're not
allowed
dark
you
friends.
to protect.
No, it
somebody
doesn't.
Who is,
But who? Who's she protecting? She doesn't know.
She says Wayne. Yeah, she says Rand.
Yeah, but she doesn't know. Rand's not there, and loads of the people on those boats are not attacking him. There's just a couple of Soldom who might be gentling him. Might be. And then she goes from ridiculous range and blows up a fleet of ships, leaving everyone to die with the one power.
And
That is not
unshields him somehow without even being able to and she shouldn't even be able to know that he's shielded at that moment.
But the shield would drop. The shield would drop because all of them drop if that happened.
Yeah.
But the distance that she's working at is established to be impossible. Secondly, the level of power is crazy.
Well,
but the big thing is,
I thought the distance was line of sight.
Yeah, but they're over the flipping. They're out to sea.
Yeah, man, like by season 8, they're gonna have people doing Dragon Ball Z Sky battles.
But anyway, the point about distance and stuff, whatever, we can bend those. But the idea that an Aes Sedai can just choose to blow up a ton of ships with the power, absolutely not. The rod, the oaths would literally have stopped her. She would not have been able to make those weaves. And also, like, where does Moraine learn how to drop meteor swarm? You know, like when did she practice that weave? You know, when she was killing her last several hundred people. There's just no way, Moraine, no way. With a sword, maybe, or with a manipulation, but not with the power. You're not allowed. You can't. And so that just shows a mistake. That's just a straight up mistake. Another mistake is those Soldom shielding Rand from out at sea. How? They can't see him. They can't see him.
I think the Soldom should not have been able to.
No, and not only could they not do that, but not only can they not shield him because they can't see him, but they also definitely can't gentle him from out there. So what they should have done is marched them into the room and had them standing there. Then you get to do that. Then you have Moraine come in and start knifing people with Lan. Okay. Now it all works mechanically. But they didn't. They're like, no, we're going to do like a massive shoot people from 5 miles away. Moraine drops meteor swarm on a fleet of ships. It's absolute lunacy. It doesn't work with the mechanics of the world. And it just shows that they don't understand those mechanics. Having Moraine and Lan rescue him and explaining, stopping a gentling. Also, Ishmael gentling the dragon? What?
Yeah.
Like, Ishmael needs the dragon to get to the last battle so that he can fall against the Dark One and the world can end. Like, that's how the world ends. They did good with his nihilism and him wanting to end everything. But he knows that if he dies, it won't end. That the Dark One will bring him back. He knows it needs to get to the end so the Dark One can win and then unravel the entire pattern. That's what Ishmael feels is needed to bring an end to the cycles. And I like the nihilism, but he didn't. Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, I'm running out of time, so we should move to the boys. Is there anything else you want to say about the girls and Moraine?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay,
I didn't like 90% of what happened to Moraine in this season.
Entire season. Correct. Yeah. Amen, brother. So Perrin's quite quick. I like Perrin. This episode is great for Perrin. We get to they've had to twist things, like with the Gaul is now Avienda, but they make it so that he's fighting Valda, which makes complete sense after what's already been shown. The wolf is helping him, makes complete sense. Bornhald seeing the wolf attack a White Cloak, defends him by killing the wolf, makes complete sense. The death of Hopper drives him into a rage, and he goes and kills a White Cloak.
And finally kills it, gets his axe. Yes.
And we now have why Bornhold hates him. Even though Bornhold himself is not a bad man. We have why the White Cloaks will now be trying to hunt Perrin down forever. We also have why Perrin will now hate the White Cloaks. They've done it a season late, but actually that all made sense. And I think they did a good pay-up. Remember, he was tortured by Valda before. So it all made good sense. It fit. Everyone did something that I understood. I understood why that's happening. That makes sense. Now this happens. Oh, that makes sense too. So those characters all paid off. I love the fact that they showed that White Cloaks aren't just jerks. They're religious fanatics, and they're making errors. And some of them, like Valda, are evil. But actually, a lot of them are just religious fanatics who genuinely believe that they're right, and they're over the top and they're wrong. But it showed that they weren't just like, we are Nazis who wear white. And I think
exactly.
I think that's good. They're more like the Spanish Inquisition. They think they're super holy, and they think that they're needed. And when he's like, we'll die if we take out these switches, he's like, we've got to ride anyway because it's the right thing to do. Someone has to stand for the light. They've asked for help from everyone, and no one else has come. So even though everyone thinks we suck, at least we came. And I'm like, I can see why you think that. And actually, I got to respect that at least a little bit. You may be wrong, but at least you believe in the crap you're talking.
Well, it's kind of aligns with the books because I know.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Book too, I did respect the White Cloaks for
doing the charge. Yeah, even though with Soldam it was like a slaughter, and so I love all of that. I think they've got them back on track. Perrin's course is on track. The yellow eyes, the wolf.
Like they did a little bit too well, those White Cloaks, in this battle compared to how well they did in
but they changed the scenario. This isn't a cavalry charge across open ground into prepared Soldam who then nuke you. This is in a city, close fighting. A lot of the Soldam can't even see them to blow them up. Makes sense that they would do better in this sort of close fighting thing. But Ingtar's sacrifice, I like that. Like I said, I wish that they'd been able to establish and admit that he was a Dark Friend beforehand, but he shows, I came here for the horn. I realize I need to do something more noble than that. Goes down fighting to buy them time. 100% marks, like Ingtar, like the way he was acted. Good times. But let's talk Mat. What do you think about how they did Mat?
I liked him in the last episode the most. But
really,
the way they did stuff was like the mechanics, as you've been talking about, was pretty wonky.
He tried to like we're going to use the dagger to trick you into going to kill him, and then he's like, "What if I don't touch it?" I like the fact that they had him, even though it doesn't happen in the books. I like the fact that they had him outsmart them. Like, I know I desperately want this dagger, and I can't fully leave it alone, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to use a little trick, and I like the fact that he finally is fighting with a staff. I hope
this is going to be the
Ashen Deadeye.
Going to be the dagger connected to what is that?
I genuinely hope not. I hope that he eventually gives up the dagger properly, and then he goes through Ruidian, goes through the rings at the doorway, makes the deal, and gets the Ashen Deadeye. I hope so because it has the ravens on it, because it makes sense for the tower when he makes the sign, and all of those things. I want the Ashen Deadeye still to happen. But this could be why he's comfortable with that kind of weapon in the future. And I really just hope the Ashen Deadeye isn't gone. I think the dagger is evil and should not be downplayed. It's a shame that one of the things they didn't do is say that his link to the dagger is how they track the horn, because that is quite a cool mechanic that Jordan uses in the book, is that this bad thing, this addiction, is actually what helps them track the horn, because the dagger's with it. And I do like that that they're making it clear that he wasn't meant to blow the horn, but then he's not given a choice, so he does. And I quite like the heroes turning up and Mat realizing that he's been a hero of the horn himself. I thought it was quite cool.
Yeah, I liked all that.
What do you think, Brother Patchy?
Back? I think that's too much, but I think they're making, I'm like, come on, Uno, hero for the horn. I think not. But I think they're suggesting he's Guidal Kane. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. He is Guidal Kane. and we're going to see with the Brigitte storyline the really ugly fight, and he had 2 swords at the end.
Right,
and I'm like,
that's true.
they're setting him up to be Uno and Geidel Kane combined into one character.
Oh,
I
I
think
don't mind that.
that's
Yeah.
my call.
Do you think that that Asian woman was supposed to be Brigitte?
Oh,
No, there's the actual Brigitte with the bow and golden hair.
Sorry?
did we see her? I
There
didn't
was.
see her. I was looking
She
for her.
is
I couldn't
there.
see her.
She is
Okay.
there.
I'll rewatch it.
They
I'll
don't-
rewatch it.
They don't do a close up on her,
And she
at the
doesn't blow anybody up with her, like, because like in the book, it's like rocket shots, isn't it? But
yeah, that's right. It's not like that. You'll see her. You don't see her in the introduction where they have them all lined up. But
She
once
has
they
a bow,
start
right?
fighting-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once
she
you
must have a
they
bow.
Start fighting. You see her with her like big golden hair shooting a bow. So she is.
Okay, cool. I will.
I didn't see that.
I'm so glad you said that. I'll rewatch it because that really worried me that she wasn't present. But yeah, I like the Heroes of the Horn.
Knightly guy. I think that was Arthur Hawkwing.
Arthur Hawkwing, for sure it is. For sure it is.
Yeah,
The way
that
he
was
spoke.
cool.
Yeah, I loved
thought they
all
should
that.
have
I loved the
named
way
him,
that.
though. They should have named him.
I just said like all they needed was Matt to go bloody Hawkwing, you know,
Yes,
like when he
exactly. Yeah.
that's all you needed, and then have them. But the idea of that, like he's alone, and then suddenly no, you're not alone. You're with all the heroes of the past. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome.
And he can speak the old tongue.
Oh, and he uses it's time to roll the freaking dice. He
Yeah.
uses the line. And so that was cool. That's a Matt moment that needs to be, someone needs to make that into a GIF as he charges with all of them. So I like Matt. They eventually got it where he was needed. I would say I've not enjoyed Matt most of this season, but I loved Matt in episode 8.
Mhm.
He showed
Agreed.
trickery, cleverness, got his weapon, sounded the horn. So glad that they didn't give the horn to one of the girls or to Rand, that Matt is the horn blower as he needed to be. And I like that. So the dagger and the horn involved with Matt, yes. Matt involved with strategy and fighting wars, yes. Matt has past lives. Now, obviously, in the books, the foxes, the snake people, fill his mind with random memories, not all of whom are him. But I think that's a bit too twisted for the TV audience. So the fact that he used to be these generals in the past, much better, much better. It's going to work. So
Well, what
I'm
do you
good with
think
all that.
of, the dagger getting the Millie Skane dagger properties?
Yeah. I just think the daggers got the evil destroy everything property. And I'm okay with it being randomly, magically destroy everything. It's meant to be super evil, and it is meant to cause damage. One of the things I find a bit odd is why did Matt have to wound him? Like, why wasn't it Ishmael? Like,
I guess they just.
they want the dagger to do
Actually,
something.
that wound isn't till book 6.
Yeah. What I'm saying, but the wound that should have happened is the Ishmael wound. Shaitan, and so they've combined them.
Yeah.
They're only going to give him one wound. They've done the Paddan Fane stab and they've done the Ishmael stab in one. And neither
Right.
of them were by Paddan Fane or Ishmael. They were by Matt with Paddan Fane's weapon. Like, come on. Matt is now the Dark One and Paddan Fane combined. He is super badass. But so I found that a bit annoying. That like just let Ishmael do it, or let Paddan Fane do it. Why does it have to be Matt? Just so that Min can look like an idiot? I just think there was no need for that to be Matt. But I guess it showed, ooh, you can trick people. Yeah, wow. We've never seen that move before. But I guess it's going to make Matt feel guilty for the rest of his life. Maybe they can do something with that. But I just, that was a bit annoying to me and a bit pointless. But otherwise, I really liked Matt. Really liked Matt's arc in this episode, not in this season.
Okay. So what do you think of Rand finally?
Rand, okay. Rand should not be able to just use the power like boom, 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 I'm just killing everyone, and with instant precision.
So you thought
like
the Turok, the Indian.
Yeah,
Jones,
I thought they were gonna have a sword fight, and I think,
situation?
but they made his nails too long, didn't they? It was meant to be a few inches long, and instead they made him ridiculously long. And then like, oh, we can't actually have this guy fight. So we'll have him say the
Yeah.
line, and then we're gonna do like an Indiana Jones moment, you know, where the guy's like, and then he just goes
And then
bang.
bam.
So he's like,
That was a cool moment in that movie,
So-
but it doesn't work here.
no, but it works if you
It
don't know
does
what.
work.
It does work.
I thought
It
was
does
pretty
work.
funny.
He's like, I wonder what it takes to earn the blade, and we all know that he's not a blade master. And we're like, oh, this ain't gonna go well. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna use a sword. Boom. And then they
Yeah.
also.
It makes sense. I would say it makes sense because Shorand is not adept at the sword.
And he's
Shorand
super
has
adept
not
at the power.
understood it.
And he's super adept at the power without training. Good on him. It's a good thing that they got Legane to teach him and then never used him because Rand learned by osmosis. And like that isn't just a random blast. Like he sends out pew, 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 and it all drops each of them perfectly. Like, whatever. Like, Rand's got nowhere to go. He's just going to be already everything from next season. But I did like that they branded his hand with the heron. Looked great. They had the sword turn into flame. Looks great. They have the injury needed because of all the symbolism and the savior stuff, right? You know, marked in the hands and in the side. Like Jordan went for that, but they've done good that they didn't make it weirdly Christian, which they don't want for this show. They made it very clearly Wheel of Time. They haven't gone overboard with it, but the symbolism was really good. And I'm glad that they didn't miss it completely. But I think that was the right level. So on the whole, with Rand, he's where he needs to be. He does think he's fully killed Ishmael. I assume he thinks with the power. Though it was weird because it was almost like it wasn't quite balefire, but the way they had him like turn to rock and then grain into dust was a bit
Strange.
weird.
Definitely weird.
Especially considering they've said that like Forsaken are immortal, and then like when you cut them, they don't die.
Yeah, that's inconsistent. I didn't realize that.
They're
And it's
super
like he turns
inconsistent.
into dust like he was a vampire. I don't get it.
I tell you, Andrew, they think these people are demons. They've got it. They think it. The showrunners think the Forsaken are demons. I don't know why, but I think they do. The way they treat them, like she turns up all covered in blood, and then they slit her throat, and it just regrows like she's got Wolverine healing powers. Come on, they think they're demons. But anyway, he's now dead, so he can be brought back as Moradin. Like that, good. He should think he's dead. You've been super inconsistent. Oh well. And oh, I forgot another thing I hated.
The dragon.
Oh wait, the dragon thing, whatever. Like if you want to like make a fake dragon out of fire, that's well within your power. Go nuts. But what about the shield against Ishmael?
Oh, you mean like the air shield or whatever?
He's killing them, and then she turns up and goes, wow, 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 and holds off her Forsaken on her own because she is badass. Oh, yeah?
I don't like that part.
Well, let's go. Rand needs me. Rand is super weak. He can't handle anything. Girls can shield him, no problem, from miles away, even though they can't see him. But
But doesn't
Egwene.
Perrin show up with a regular shield and do the same
Oh,
thing?
I love when he turns up with the shield. How does that make a blind bit of difference, Baron? Good job there, buddy. But again, it's this fascination this show has with Egwene is awesome. Egwene is god tier. Egwene is like, just to be clear, Egwene's really powerful, but she's just above Moraine and Swan. She's not anywhere near.
Her powers did fail her, and Perrin did have to step up, though.
With a shield.
Right. With a regular shield.
that made all the difference. That made all the freaking difference. The point is, Egwene can't be rescued by anyone, not even the girls. Rand.
They were trying to have an Avengers moment there. You know,
Well,
Captain
their
America
Avengers
came
moment
in.
was Matt summoning the heroes of the Horn.
Right.
And I'm like, they should have all come in. Avienda, Perrin, Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene should have all channeled to protect him.
Yeah.
And it should have been like Nynaeve's angry enough to channel. Egwene is, even though she's shattered and wounded, adds her little bit to it. You know, how cool would it have been if Egwene had been just like, I'm too weak, but I can still link with you. And Elaine was like, I'm too injured, but I can still link with you. They link with her, and then Nynaeve goes, "You won't hurt my boy," and she and stands against him. She has the kind of power to be kind of in a good idea.
Yeah, she could have regained her power at that point. That would have been epic.
Yeah, and but the thing is, again, it's still and Linked would have also given an excuse of why they can hold a flipping Forsaken. Because just to be clear, again, I know that the show's got rid of the idea that men are actually stronger as an idea, but Ishmael is clearly one of the strongest men. He is stronger than anyone bar the dragon. He can handle even Lanfear. That's why Lanfear hides from him and doesn't muck about with him. And yet, Egwene, basically untrained, injured, almost dead, having just got out of slavery, just stands there and goes, "No," through sheer willpower.
Yep.
And I know she's a woman, and good on her for being a girl, but that doesn't mean that you're just better than every single other channeler in the whole show. If she can do that to Ishmael, like, why should we fear any of the Forsaken? Like, just do that to Lanfear. Like, when Lanfear came up, why didn't you just go, "Lanfear, please, step down"? Like, anyway, I just think it takes away the fear. So the mechanics stuff irritated me. The story, like the Soldan thing that went wrong, the shielding is wrong, the gentling is wrong, the Moraine blowing people up and just killing them willy-nilly is wrong. But storyline-wise, it was great. Ending-wise, it was great. It was cathartic, and they put everyone back where they needed to be. So bravo for that. You've repaired the damage that you yourselves did in the first couple of seasons.
In terms of the 3 oaths, if they wanted to be consistent, at least within their own show, since
They
they're
have to change
turning
the
the hard
oaths.
magic system into a soft magic system anyway, they should have just thrown out the 3 oaths.
Yeah, or said that they're much more flippy floppy. Like, but they've shown that they're not, and that like they literally can stop a woman talking. Or maybe even had her said, "I can't kill anyone, but I can still attack the boat because then people might live." Or like shown her trying to do some mental gymnastics. But anyway, guys,
that's what I said I do.
Anyway, I'm out of time, but thank you for having me on, because like that was really fun to talk about. But
it's always fun to hear your thoughts about this.
My daughter is indicating that I need to leave, so please, you guys do the all the good stuff. And I know I talk too much, so you can all have your you can have the real talk. Bye.
All right, good to see you, man.
Easy. So you are still liking season 1 more, right?
Yeah, overall, like I said, I like season 1 more, but I like episode 8 a lot more than episode 8 in season 1.
Yeah, I thought episode 8 was generally pretty good. A lot of the stuff was definitely exciting to see, especially like Perrin getting his axe and taking out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, Hopper getting chopped up with an axe is definitely something I didn't want to see.
Yeah, that was
I'd say like I thought 2 did a good job at resetting everything, so that they are back to square one where it comes to like moving forward.
I'd say for the most part, yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, they're back to a place where they can definitely, you know, get more in line with the source material. When I say source material, I'm mainly talking about character development, plots, and things of that nature. From what I've heard, I heard that they are not doing book 3.
Why? Man, that's my favorite book.
Well, they don't have enough time, from what I heard.
Just they can combine, like they should just try to do 2 books per season. I mean, they only have 8 seasons anyway. I mean, or if they're gonna skip books, skip some of the fucking slog, man.
They probably will skip the slog. Because the reason I think they're skipping book 3 is because the Forsaken that they fight in book 3 is one that's not going to be depicted,
Hmm.
which
Oh
is
yeah, that reminds me. I did also in episode 8, like the at the very end, the introduction of
oh
Mogideon. Even
Mogideon.
though I the like Lanfear's supposed to be dead, she is a cool character, but that part kind of was annoying too.
Yeah, Mogideon's back, or at least she's been released. Um, that's interesting. They make her like seem pretty frightful,
Hmm.
but we'll see what she's going to do next season.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so if they're going straight into Mogideon, I guess that makes sense why they're not doing 3. Because let's see, Mogideon is who Nynaeve fights in book 4, and book 4 is like the Aiel season.
Right.
Book 4
Yes.
is also where Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers. Um, and because book 3 is just thinking about book 3, Bran goes off on his own, and he there's nothing much happens with him at all.
He's in. Is that
Uh,
when? Is it book 3 or book 6 when he's in the box?
book 6 is when he's in the box, but
Right.
he's only
Okay.
in the box for like the last 3 or 4 chapters.
Okay.
Um,
What
in
what
book
happen? What
two,
happens in book 3 again?
in book 3, he runs off on his own to
Okay.
Tyr, and he the whole book it's
Oops.
basically everyone
Hmm.
chasing after Rand
Right.
and trying to find him. It's everyone's going to Tyr. Also, the girls. Trying to think. Yeah, book 3 is everyone going to heading to Tyr.
Okay.
Because I know in book
Oh, is that
3,
when? Is that when Rand gets Kalendor too?
yeah, at the end, Rand gets.
Yeah,
He
that's kind of
doesn't.
fucking
Yeah, he gets
important.
Kalendor.
You think they're going to incorporate that into season 3 but still skip most of the rest
Well,
of
he's
book
gonna
3?
need to get Kalendor, but I don't think they're gonna use. Like just thinking about book 3, I don't think they can dedicate a whole season to that because
Oh, I'm not saying
uh,
they should dedicate a whole season to 3, but they could dedicate a season to 3 and 4 instead of just 4.
maybe because the things that happened in 3 is okay. Perrin, um, he, I think book 3 is when Perrin meets. Is it when Perrin meets Fael? I'm not sure. I know he goes to at least Fael gets captured. I know that, and he goes to rescue her. Egwene and Nynaeve, they get captured by the Black Oddjaw, and Matt rescues them from the Stone of Tyr. This is actually where they first meet Aviendha and the other Aiel. Would be
Oh,
in
so
book
they
3.
yeah, they already covered a little bit of what happens in 3.
Yeah, so a lot of it is just everybody going to Tyr, and then when they get to Tyr, um, Rand. No, no. When they get to Tyr, Moraine balefires the Forsaken.
Right.
So she kills the Forsaken. During book 3, Moraine learns balefire,
Yeah, that was cool, man.
but they probably will have her learn balefire in the series. It just won't be. I can see what they're gonna probably do is maybe incorporate Tyr, like have a short trip to Tyr. But it sounds like they already want to start like everyone going to the Iowa Waste and then Perrin returning back to the Two Rivers. And then the girls, Egwene, I don't know, Nynaeve and I think Nynaeve and Elaine go to Tanchico, and that's when they fight Mogideon.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, but that's in book 4. Book
I mean, book
3
4
is
is cool. Book 4 is cool too, but I mean, it seems like a lot of really important stuff happens in book 3.
I'm just trying to think. Like, Kalendor is probably the most important thing that happens is that he gets Kalendor.
Yeah.
And then meeting the Aiel, I guess, is important, but we've gotten that covered in the show. Yeah, because Rand has like very little development up until the last. Oh yeah, book 3 also has them being pursued by Darkhounds.
That is cool too. Is that when Moiraine balefires the Darkhounds?
Perrin and Moiraine fight the Darkhounds, and I believe Moiraine does balefire them.
Yeah, that is a really cool part of book 3.
So we have that, and I'm trying to think if 3 is when Swan gets deposed.
Oh
Or is
yeah,
it
I don't
4?
remember. I don't remember what book that's in.
I don't remember if it's 3 or 4. I'm not entirely sure.
It might be 4. I'm not sure.
Because in 4, Egwene is learning from the wise ones, and Avienda is starting to become a wise one. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to handle fusing the important elements of. I believe they're going to try to take the important elements of 3 and then just dive straight into 4.
So maybe season 3 will be like, do you think it'll be at least possibly mostly 4 but with a little bit of 3 at the beginning?
It seems like it's going to be mostly 4.
Okay.
We'll have to see. I'm not, because I know the Forsaken they fight at the end of 3 is not in the show, which is Balal. And then I think season 4.
Do you think they're totally taking Balal out?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
And also, I think season 5 also has Ravine as well. Or season 4 also has Ravine.
Do you think they're gonna have her?
Oh, him? I'm not sure.
I forget
It's a
it's a
lot
him.
to fit. It's a lot to fit in one season. That's the problem. There's not enough episodes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what Dark Friends they're gonna keep and which they're. I mean, not Dark Friends. Forsaken they're gonna keep and which they're gonna get rid of.
Well, the only ones we know for sure are the ones that have been mentioned.
Yeah. So
Gideon.
Lanfear, Mogideon. Anyone else?
I'm trying to think if they said Samael or Ravine or. As there was a point during this season where they talked about other Forsaken.
It
They
seems
made
like it would
mention
be
of other.
important to release, or I mean to include. Oh shit! I'm just. Samael. Yeah. And the
I believe there's
Moga
only going to be a total of 7
7.
because it seems like in this iteration each seal has a Forsaken sealed in it, and there are 7 seals.
Okay, yeah, that could be the case. And Mogideon did say at the end of this season that Ishamael released all of the other Forsaken.
Yeah, which would be like 4 others, I guess. So
Yeah,
it'll
because
be
Ishamael's
her
dead.
and
Yeah.
4 others. So
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know who else it's going to be, but I do not think they're going to have Balal because in book 3, Balal only shows up in a short scene at the very end. Like he doesn't have any dialogue or anything throughout the whole book.
What
Like, we
about
don't even
4?
know who Bilal is until he shows up at the end of 3.
What about 4 for him?
Who, Bilal?
Yeah, yeah.
The problem with Bilal is there's not a lot of like actual development of his character for him to be warranted to be in the show.
Okay.
Like, he
It seems
literally
like
shows up right at the end of 3 and he gets
Samael is
killed.
important to include, though.
I don't know if he's going to be. He may be. I'm not sure.
Which book is it? Is it book? I don't remember whether it's somewhere around
Book
book
7.
5 or book 7 or 8 when Ran kills Samael.
Well, he's reported to have been killed in 7.
7, right? But not
Wait,
actually killed.
7? Wait, Path of Daggers. No, Crown of Swords is when he reportedly kills him.
Book 8. Oh yeah, you just reminded me. It's one that's in the slog, but it's one of the awesome climax parts of one of the somewhat sloggy books.
Yeah, it's in the Path of Daggers. Or, I'm
Right.
sorry, Crown of Swords.
Crown of Swords, you said, yeah.
Defeats Samael. I'm just trying to think of the ones they probably won't have. I don't think they're going to have Messiah, because you have to remember there's like 13 Forsaken. So they're kind of trying to. It seems like they're cutting the Forsaken numbers in half, which makes sense, you know.
Which Forsaken do you think they will include? So if there are going to be 7 in total, which 4 others do you think there will be?
I'm trying to think of Forsaken that span more than one book. Probably what's his name? The one from Lords of Chaos. What's his name? It's like I forget his name. He was the one that they thought. I think maybe they might even make Mazrim Time Forsaken. I don't know. It's hard to know. But let's see who else could be. Ravin, possibly. I think Samael should be in there. From the other women, I don't know. I would say, yeah, like I think Gideon's important to be in there.
Well, she is anyway.
Yeah. I think Samael should be in there because his arc spans more than one book.
Yeah.
Ravin is a possibility of him being axed because he's only in one book. But at least like his role is not just a single scene at the end of the book. He kind of has like multiple scenes and he impacts the story pretty well. The other one that I can't think of, he's what's his name?
Do you need to take that call?
No, I don't need to take this one.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the name of the Forsaken that's in 6. I think he should be in there.
I can't remember. Is it one of the ones that starts with an L?
L?
I don't know.
He's the one that everyone thought was Mazrim Time.
Yeah,
Mazrim Time ended up
that was
there
that detail to do with Mazrim Time when the books were first being published? People thought that Robert Jordan was hinting at Mazrim Time being a Forsaken, and he was actually thinking about that, but changed his mind.
Yeah, that's right. Mazrim Time was supposed to be a Forsaken in disguise, but I forgot the name of the Forsaken. But I think that Forsaken is probably going to be in the show. And like that, the name of that Forsaken like escapes my mind.
I'm trying to look at.
I remember. It's Demon Dread is the name of that Forsaken.
Oh yeah, Demandred. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he's
you're right.
probably going to make an appearance.
Yeah, that would be cool. That is a cool Forsaken. Yeah.
Yeah, Demon Dread for sure. They have to include that guy, but I think Demon Dread is probably going to take the role of other Forsaken. It seems like Loghain has taken over Asmodean's role.
I'm
So I don't
okay
think
with
we're going to
that.
see that.
I think
Yeah.
I want to see more of Loghain training Rand though, and more of Loghain in general. That would be cool.
Oh, for sure. You know what? I've heard being mentioned on the show. What's her name? It's a female Forsaken. Oh, I forget her name.
Misana?
She's the one. No, it's the one that's always like wearing like revealing outfits, and she turns like people into puppets, like literal puppets.
Other than Lanfear.
Yeah, her. I think her name starts with a G.
I'm gonna look up female female
she has
Forsaken
blonde
in what?
hair. She has blonde hair and Tigo bitties.
Oh, okay, right.
I forgot her
Yeah,
name.
I don't really even remember that much of the physical yeah, the first one that comes up obviously is Lanfear. Let me see.
Because I don't think
Samael,
Cimarron is going to be
Ravine,
in
you
there.
mentioned that. You mentioned Samael, Ravine, Demandred.
I
Female
don't think Cimarron
Forsaken.
is going to be in there.
Oh, yeah, that's one of them. Oh, what about this? Who are the members of the Forsaken? There are more than that. Shamil, Lanfear, Moghedien, Grendel?
Grandal, there you go. Her name was
Yeah,
mentioned on the show.
and then,
Her name
oh,
was mentioned
Grendel's
on the
been
show, so
mentioned?
she's going to probably show up later. She's been
Oh,
mentioned.
I didn't notice that. What episode was she mentioned in?
It's in the second season when they're talking about like the other Forsaken.
Oh, okay.
There was a conversation between Lanfear and Ishamael.
I only see these with the. Oh, okay. No. Someone compiled this list of who they think the Forsaken will be in the show. Oh, okay. So this is Ishamael, Lanfear, Moghedien, Grendel, Asmodean, Demandred, Samael, and Ravine. That's
I
who.
don't know. I
It
don't
seems
think
like that's
Asmodean's
what.
going to be.
Sorry.
I don't think Asmodean's going to be in the show.
And you
Because
said
Loghain
you don't
already
think
covers
Ravine
that.
is Ravine is going to be in there either, right?
Ravine,
Oh,
maybe.
here we go.
Asmodean, no.
Okay, Ravine maybe Asmodean, no. Oh, okay. Here I found. I think I found an actual list of the Forsaken in the books. Wait, where is it here? Who are the Forsaken? Yeah, we know all that. Oh, here we go. 13 Forsaken. Demandred, Ishamael, Lanfear, Misana, Semiraj, Balthamel, Agenor, Asmodean, Ravine, Samael, Bilal, Grendel, and Moghedien. I think we've mentioned all of those except for Agenor.
Well, Agenor and Balthamel are definitely not going to be in it.
Okay.
Because they would have been in the first season.
Okay.
Yeah, because they got taken out at the end of book 1.
Okay.
And I don't know if they're going to do like resurrections or not. We'll have to see.
It seems like they're not because they just have this immortal thing going on with the Forsaken in terms of Lanfear, at least, right?
Well, we'll have to see because who's going to be the big bad? Because the big bad of Wheel of Time is a reincarnated Ishamael.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so we'll have to see.
And they did. I didn't really like the fact that they totally got rid of Baalzamon. and then they reveal there is this bigger bad guy.
Well, Baalzamon is a Shamael.
Well, I mean, they don't have Rand and everyone thinking, "Oh, Baalzamon is the Dark One. Is the Dark One?"
Oh yeah, they thought Shamael was the Dark One. So Rand thought he had killed them at the end.
Yeah,
of
that's what I
the
mean.
first season.
They thought he had killed the Dark One, and then they realized, oh, that wasn't the Dark One.
Right. Because the same thing happens. Like Rand thought he killed the Dark One at the end of book 1, also.
True. And then he did in book 2 also.
Yeah, he also thought he killed him again in book 2, and then in book 3, he kind of killed him, and then he got reincarnated into Moradin.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're just not having him kill the Shamael a bunch of times like he did in the original series.
Right. Okay. Well, I think I'm probably gonna get going pretty soon here. Was there any other aspects of the show versus the books that you wanted to discuss?
No, I just thought season 2 ended pretty well. Besides, like all the mechanical errors, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I thought, I was really glad Matt is finally becoming Matt,
Me too.
and Perrin is finally becoming Perrin. I'm really glad that these characters are kind of developing into the characters that I know from the books. I was really happy about that. And I thought, the girls are developing well. Nynaeve, needs a lot more work. She had a very strong showing in the first season, and I thought her showing here up until, the accepted test was great. And then after the accepted test, she just kind of fell off the cliff, character-wise.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, everything up to
yeah.
that was good, and then after, yeah, it wasn't good. And also, just in general, in terms of this season, I was telling you guys that I disliked season 2 so much more than season 1, and was to the point that I was considering not even watching 3 if episode 8 wasn't good. But episode 8, like I said, I liked it way more than pretty much season 2 overall, so I will watch season 3.
Yeah, I think episode 8 was the best episode of the season, which is good because ending episodes should be the best episode of the season.
Yeah.
So they kind of hit the mark there, um, which is why I'm putting season 2 above 1, because I feel better about the future of the show based off of the ending of season 2 than I did on the ending of season 1. Because when season 1 ended, I was like having a lot of doubts.
Me too.
I was like, man,
Yeah.
I was like, what's gonna happen now? But the end of 2, I was like, okay, I see that they're kind of steering the show back in a better direction. So it's kind of making me feel a bit more positive and hopeful for season 3 than season 1 did. Like season 1, I was like, I don't know. What are they going to do? And then season 2, I was like, okay, it seems like they're on the right track now. So that's kind of why I'm liking season 2, or I rank it above 1.
But didn't you also like most of each individual episode more than both Tristram and especially I did?
Well, there were some standout episodes like episode 6 and 5. But
I liked 5. I think I liked 5. I kind of liked 5. The ending of 2, 5, and 8.
Okay. 8 is definitely my favorite. I would say 3. When 3 is pretty decent. That's the accepted tests, and then Elaine's torture in 6 is pretty good, and I also like Avienda's introduction. But those have been like my favorites so far. One of the
Yeah,
things
like I said,
overall
sorry?
one of the things overall too that I like about season 2 is that the villains had a much stronger presence,
I did like
and
that too, yeah.
I'm totally about like the villains. I think the best acted actors in the series so far are the villains. Like I thought Lanfear's acting is great. I think Shamael's acting is great. Um, and they're doing a great job so far as like acting wise.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I just think that well, yeah, I was telling you guys in terms of the characters, I don't like what they did with Min that much. I don't like what they did with Matt that much, except for in the last part, and in the final episode. I mostly am cool with what they did with Perrin. Mostly am cool with what they did with Rand. Definitely what happened with Moraine and Land was my favorite least favorite
least
aspect
favorite.
of the entire season for sure. And they kind of ruined Moraine for season 2 and other characters too. And yeah, I mean, just like I said, overall, I had a lot more problems with season 2 than 1 overall, but I like the finale a lot more. But I think that it seems like maybe you I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like maybe you upgrade it more than I do because you like the show overall, but more importantly because you like episode 8 more than I do, and perhaps you see the finale is slightly more important than I do, although I do agree it's probably the most important episode.
Right. Yeah, it's just that the finale. Well, basically, it's like okay, you ended the season, and now we gotta wait like another year till the next season comes out. When the last episode of 8 of the first season, that was my least favorite episode,
Yeah, mine too.
and I basically face palmed at that ending. And I was like, what the hell are they gonna do now with the show? It's like, but season 2, I was like cheering while I was watching. I was like, hell yeah, here comes Matt and the Heroes of the Horn. I was very
So,
excited about that last episode.
okay. So
And
what reasons other than episode 8 in general do you like season 2 overall more than season 1 overall in as opposed to Tristram and I?
all right, so you know, I'm trying to divorce it as much as I can from my expectations based off of what the books are and what this is. Um, and there are parts that are inconsistent when it comes to some of the things that have happened mechanically. As far as like the show and why I think season 2 is better, um, biggest reason for me is one, like I said, I really like villains, and the villains really came out fighting in this season. Whereas we only saw Shamael basically in the last episode of season 1. So there wasn't the other villain presence, I guess, was Fane, but he wasn't really made known as a villain until the last episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
So since we had very strong acting from a lot of villains, it made me really feel good about this season when it came to them having something solid to fight against instead of like this ethereal kind of notion that there's something going on. Um, and I get it, it might just be a problem with the way that book 1 is set up, but I just thought season 2 had much, and I one of the things I noticed too Ishamael had a bigger role in season 2 than he had in book 2. So we got to see him more, which I thought that was pretty interesting. And
I did like that, but I just didn't like the way that they did that and the way they departed from the books and how they kind of are approaching the relationship between average people and Forsaken differently and having everyone make secret alliances with Forsaken. I didn't like all that.
Well, they are anyway. It's just not visualized in the book.
But not anywhere near to the same extent as they have it happening in the show, especially with the main characters, I would say.
Oh, you mean like Rand and Selene?
And Min and Matt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think it hurts the show in any way.
I think it does. I think it ruins the way that the main characters are supposed to react with the Forsaken. They're supposed to, like, definitely not be working with the Forsaken.
Well then, Rand has an ulterior motive when it comes to Lanfear. He's trying.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Also, he doesn't work with her in the books. That it's weird that happens in this season.
Not directly, no.
He does work with her,
but she helps him in the books in subtle ways.
But not in anywhere near this way. I wouldn't say, or anywhere near as direct of a way.
She helps him with the most is in book 3. At the end of book 3, she actually fought with another Forsaken to try to protect him behind the scenes.
But that was I didn't remember that. Okay,
yes,
but
because,
I mean, like, obviously none of this stuff happens in the books. I mean, the stuff that's happening in season 2 of the show.
Which stuff? Like, you mean the dialogue?
The stuff with the stuff with Rand working directly with Lanfear after he's found out that she's betrayed him.
Well, here's the thing. Rand does work with the Forsaken directly. This wasn't Lanfear.
Yeah, but like they're ruining the way that this relationship is supposed to work.
I don't know if I would say that it's being ruined.
I think it is. In the same way they're ruining the way the main characters are supposed to be interacting with the Forsaken.
I'm not sure if it's like ruining. Like, it's just because they talk to these people doesn't mean that their characters are ruined. Like,
but they have been scheming with them.
Well, I wouldn't. What was Rand scheming exactly?
He was scheming with Lanfear to help him take out Ishamael. And then obviously Min was scheming with Ishamael to get Matt to Fama. I mean, obviously she went back on it, but that's still nothing like anything that happens in any of the books.
In the last book, Rand employs Lanfear for his help to defeat Ishamael.
Okay, but like nowhere near this early in the series. The way that they're doing it in the series is ruining the way that this is going to carry out, especially in comparison to the books.
Not really. Once Moiraine and Lanfear
it is, man. They're going to wildly depart from the books. They already are.
I'm not... Okay, so your basis of it being ruined is based off of its departure from the book. I'm telling you.
And also, more importantly, like departure, not just departure from the books, but departure from the books in a way that is worse than the way it happens in the books. Like the way, as we've discussed before, the reason I like episode 4 of season 1 more than any other episode in the season is that it's a major departure from the books, but it's, to me, a way better than what actually happens in the books. All of these, like most of these changes that they made in season 2 even if they have things happen in a similar way, it's in a worse way than the way that they happen in the books.
I don't know. Like, to me, it doesn't matter that much.
It does,
Like,
though. It does. If it's better,
it matters
that's
to
fine. But it's
you.
not better. It's worse.
Well, here's the thing. Episode 4 of season 1, to me, whether it's aligned with the books doesn't matter. I just like it
It
as
does,
much
though.
because it's
The
entertainment.
series is based on books. If you're not going to pay any attention to the books, especially if you're going to do it in ways that makes the story and characters worse, then why are you even basing it on these books?
Okay, well,
An adaptation
this
is
is not a
still
complete
supposed to be an
thought.
adaptation. It's not supposed to be some totally different thing. I mean, I can understand changes for sure, and I think I'm more forgiving of them than a lot of people are, but obviously much less so than you are.
It's just I'm not bothered by it. I'm not. To me, I'm not as invested in it as you guys are. That's what it seems like.
Well, did you like the Halo show?
I thought it was okay.
No, terrible.
Right. Like, I'm not that invested in it. Like I said, I got these adaptations, and I'm not that invested in how far it copies the original material.
But they're supposed to be adaptations. Should they even be adaptations if you don't
Well, you
care
gotta
how much
adapt
they
it.
depart from the source material? Doesn't it matter
Yeah,
whether
they're
they're
not.
good or bad improvements in comparison to the source material? That's what matters to me.
Yeah, an adaptation is just that. It's adapting it to a particular media, particular audience, particular time period. Like, for instance, there's this anime that I just watched that's based off of a book that's 1972, and it was completely adapted for the year 2020. So
Yeah,
one of
I
the
mean,
things,
I understand that, but that's not the same thing. We're talking about a lot of things to do with mechanics and plot and storyline. And this
yeah,
sort of
I know, I
storyline,
understand what you're
it could
saying.
still take place in different time periods theoretically.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but people who watch TV um, typically don't care about the intricacies of mechanics.
But people who have read these books, like me, think, what was the point of making this an actual adaptation if it's not very similar to the books?
Well, that's because like I said, um, it just depends on tastes.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, to
We're
me,
having a
that's not that
subjective
important.
conversation. I know we're having a subjective conversation about our instinctive emotional reactions to a show. I'm not mad about it or anything.
Yeah, in this case, I don't. When it comes to TV shows and movies, I don't get that upset about changes.
I'm not
When it comes to other
upset.
things,
I just don't like the series as much of you because of the changes. I wouldn't say I'm upset.
well, yeah, I'd say it doesn't rattle me. It doesn't. I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't have any investment. Like, for me, if I don't have an investment in something, then I won't have any type of harsh reaction to something being changed.
So,
Like,
no matter how much of a departure it is, like the characters could be different, and the
here's what I
Forsaken
would be
could be the
upset with.
heroes, and the heroes could be the Forsaken, and
Like,
there could
here's
be
one
no
thing.
magic system, and people could fight with guns instead of swords, and it could be science fiction instead of
Yeah, yeah.
fantasy. Like, it doesn't
Here's
matter
what
at
I'll
all.
tell you. Not that much. Here's what I'll tell you. If somebody tried to continue the Wheel of Time and I saw the things that you're talking about happen in a book form, I would be pissed off.
But not for the TV show.
Nope,
Jeez,
not
but
really.
they're based on books.
Yeah, but I still got the books. Like, you can ruin the TV show,
Like
quote unquote, all you want.
but they're based on the books. The show's supposed to be something like the books if it's based on the books.
Well, here's a couple things. Like when I watched the Harry Potter movies, there were a couple scenes that I wanted to be in those movies that weren't.
I know, but
I did not.
the Harry Potter movies are way more similar to the books than so far the Wheel of Time show has been to the books.
Yeah, well, I get it. It's but they dedicated more movies to the books than they have episodes to the Wheel of Time.
They have more time in 8 episodes of 8 seasons of a TV show. Although I guess no, because they're covering way more
The Harry
books
Potter
than
books aren't that long.
it might be. I don't know. It might be roughly equivalent because like 4, 5, 6, and
No,
7 of the Harry Potter books are pretty long. But I mean, I don't think any of them compare to Wheel of Time books, other than maybe book 5, but the 5th and 6th Harry Potter books compare to some of the like shorter Wheel of Time books, but certainly nowhere near some of the longer ones.
well, I don't know. I'm just like not that upset because I have the books. Like if the books got like if some
So why
author
watch the show? Why
decided
watch the show then if the books are so different?
just to watch it.
How's that a reason?
Well, one, I knew the Halo show was going to be nothing like the game or the books because there was no book or specific game that they were adapting.
Why not just make it like some other new awesome, like in terms of Halo, some other awesome new science fiction series with all these changes that wouldn't piss people off as much. And the same thing with Wheel of Time. I think it would be a better show if it were not an adaptation. And I don't think that should
Well,
be
if
the
it
case
wasn't
with
an
an
adaptation,
adaptation.
I probably wouldn't watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, there's a ton of fantasy shows I just don't have an interest in. Like, I haven't seen a lot of different fantasy shows, and then they just had some random one called whatever, whatever. I
But
probably
that's
wouldn't
what
watch
this
it.
one is. That's what this one is. Whatever.
Yeah, but at least it has some connection to something I'm familiar with.
But not much.
I think there's enough.
I mean, like,
Not for me.
okay, let me give an example of like an adaptation that a lot of people hate that I actually like. The Hobbit movies. I like the Hobbit movies, even though it's a way stretched out version of the Hobbit book, especially if you watch the extended edition movies that are even longer, they do include a lot of stuff that does not happen in the Hobbit books, but stuff that happens in the appendices, for example, and they include scenes that happen off screen in The Hobbit and stuff. But in my opinion, they did it in ways that make things more entertaining and still at least somewhat make sense. To me, like some of the changes they made in the Wheel of Time show are not that entertaining and don't make sense.
Well, when I watched the Hobbit movies, I just felt that there's some parts that were so bloated that it became boring to me.
More what, sorry?
That they were so bloated that they became boring to me.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah, I wasn't
wasn't
bored.
like Because one of the things I remember about at least the second movie, I was like, dude, this smog scene is way too fucking long.
Yeah, it was cool and epic though. I mean, I know it doesn't happen in the book, but I don't know. Maybe the part of the difference too is that it's supposed to be
Yeah, I
like
just
a
thought the
fairly
pacing
it's
was
supposed to be a
bad.
fairly simple children's story, and they turned it into 3 epic fantasy movies.
Well, I just thought the pacing wasn't very good. Like,
I agree with the pacing in terms of movie one in particular, but even like to me, especially the third movie, again, especially if you watch the extended edition, I think Battle of the Five Armies is actually really cool. It has tons of stuff that doesn't happen in The Hobbit, but it has all sorts of awesome wizard battles and more epic battles and ridiculously cartoonish violent stuff that is nothing like the books, but I just like it more.
um, yeah, the Hobbit. The things I didn't like about the Hobbit is it was just too long. To be honest, I just thought the 3 movies were just too damn
I get that.
long.
But
And
they're still more entertaining to me than season 2 of Wheel of Time in particular.
um,
I'd rather
I don't
rewatch
know.
the Hobbit movies so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would go that far myself. I just found, um, yeah, just to be too long for me.
You should watch
Um,
the extended edition of the Battle of Five Armies. It's like constant
well,
awesome
okay,
fantasy
so
battles.
in the extended edition, did they give Bjorn more time, or is it the same friggin' scene at the end of the movie?
Oh, where they barely have him, you mean?
Right.
No, they don't have him a hell of a lot, but they definitely have him like, he's like barely in a shot in the movie, but he's at least in there for a few minutes, I think, in the extended version.
Yeah, because that kind of, for me, the movie was less climactic than the actual book was.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. I
And
just
like I
like
said,
well,
I'm
especially
really,
one of the
really
things that I
about
like the most
endings.
is that they actually showed the battle of the five armies. To me, that's a change that actually makes it better because in the Hobbit book, Bilbo just gets knocked out and then he wakes up and they say, "Hey, this awesome epic battle of five armies just happened. Too bad that you missed it. Sorry."
Well, I don't remember it going like that. I remember in the book they
It
do
was.
describe like a back and forth between, oh, and they started losing, and these people showed up, and oh yeah, we're winning now, but no, these people
But
show
they
up,
don't
and now we're
show
losing.
any part of the Battle of Five Armies. They don't show any of it in the book.
Well, I know they talk about it.
A little bit, but they don't show anything. That's why I like the fact that they showed this awesome epic battle.
Right. It's great that they showed the battle. It just, I felt more climactic in the book than it did in the movie.
Mm, I don't
As
know.
I remember in the book, they're like, oh yeah, Bjorn shows up and he's like destroying, and then yay, we win. And then in the movie, he shows up for like 5 seconds. I was like, really? That's it?
Dude, in the extended edition movie, he shows up for longer. There are all sorts of like massive trolls and shit, bigger, but more bigger enemies, more bigger heroes, more bigger weapons. I told you, there's this like cartoonish epic chase where a bunch of the dwarves are going on this like sleigh type thing that's sliding down a frozen river, and they have a giant crossbow turret that they're firing at enemies and trolls that are chasing them and shit like that.
Okay. Oh yeah, I just remember that when watching the 3 movies, that even during the battle scenes, I seem to remember thinking that even some of those were too long.
I definitely never thought that.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is going on for a while. Like Jesus Christ.
You feel that way when you watch John Wick?
No, because in John Wick, it seems like every encounter he does is like really unique, and the set pieces are pretty interesting. I felt like when watching The Hobbit, like I was watching an inferior Lord of the Rings. It seems
Oh,
like
I
more.
certainly agree. I certainly agree with that. But I still liked a lot of the combat in the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, and I remember being like, I don't know which one of the movies it was, but I was like, man, this is ridiculous. It was like one part where they're like riding barrels or some shit. I was like, Jesus, they're like drawing this shit out
Oh
as
yeah,
much as they can.
yeah, they ridiculously amped up the barrel riding thing. I mean, some of that was
Yeah,
cool
so
though to me, even though it was cartoonish. Although, I mean, I didn't like this whole thing with Tariel being added and shit like that. But I mean, some of her combat was cool too. I don't know.
yeah, just
Anyway, we
um,
don't need to get all into the Hobbit movies. I think I'm probably gonna get going. We've been talking for a while.
yeah. Like as far as like season
We just
two
have
goes,
different opinions on season
it's
2 of Wheel of
okay
Time.
for
Nothing
me.
wrong with that.
I was just saying it was okay for me, and um, it didn't like phase me so far.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, I
thought
mean, like I was
some
saying,
changes were like
to me the finale
unfortunate.
saved the show for me, but I still like season 1 overall. But yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things too is like I'm still holding out hope that they can correct wrongs. Like if this was a full season and I've seen everything from beginning to end, then I might have a different opinion if they didn't correct
You,
something that happened.
you mean series?
Um, I'm saying if I had watched the whole series and there were
Yeah.
things that weren't corrected, then I definitely have opinions.
Okay.
Like it's like the difference between I've watched the entire season of Game of Thrones
Hmm.
and then putting certain seasons in perspectives makes me really not like certain seasons only after having watched the entire show.
But you can evaluate these things differently. You can evaluate the entire show and also each individual season.
Yeah, I get that, but yeah, it's just sometimes I change my opinion depending on how these things fit in as a puzzle piece.
I see that.
So it could be that this puzzle piece actually does fit in horribly in later seasons. It may not, or it may fit in even better than I expected. But as far as like the ending of the season, I thought they did a pretty good job um, with that ending,
Okay.
and it gives me hope for the next season.
Okay.
As
Fair enough.
in last season, that ending made me very skeptical of whether they can do anything right.
Yeah, I know, me too.
And I think they got some things right in this last episode that make me feel okay with whatever they're going to do with season 3.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna watch season 3. I might have less patience for it than season 2. We'll see.
We'll just have to see what they're going to cover, what they're going to leave out, because they're always going to have to leave something out. They don't have enough time. But they if they are covering season 4, I am going to be extra critical because or book 4 because book 4 is my favorite book
I know. Yeah, I
in the
remember.
series. So I think I'll probably be more critical if they're covering book 3 or book 4, and we'll see how that goes. So they better do a better job
Do you
than
think
they're.
more important events happen in book 4 than 3?
Oh hell yeah! Like way
Okay.
more important events. We have okay, so we have Rand learning about like the Aiel, and there's a lot of world building that happens in book 4. One of my favorite scenes is when Perrin defends the two rivers. That's like one of my favorite. Basically, my favorite chapter in book 4 is when Perrin defends the two rivers.
Okay.
And we have Rand learning about the history of the Aiel. We have Egwene becoming a stronger channeler. Nynaeve taking out a Forsaken by herself. Yeah, and Mat
You still there, dude? Uh-oh. Let's see what's happening with Dusty here. I think we're probably going to end it there soon anyway. So until Dusty gets back, I'll see what's going on with him. And until Dusty gets back, I'll just give you guys my plugs for my channel and whatnot. So yeah, check out my channel, Philosophy Bro, where I mostly talk about philosophy books and occasionally do chats with Dusty and sometimes Tristram as well, rather, about fantasy books. And yeah, my channel is really cool. I did a video about Nietzsche the other day, and I released a clip today from one of my videos on the post-structuralist philosopher Foucault, who I like, and it's about him evaluating how sexual repression happened during the Enlightenment through the institutions of religion, science, and government, and how this actually started with upper class elites rather than with the lower working class people, which is interesting because it's kind of counterintuitive. So hopefully Dusty will be back in a minute here. Yeah, so check out my channel, woke Philosophy Bro, for sure, and subscribe to it. It's very good. Click the bell to be notified when I come out with new videos. Check out my Patreon page. Link is in the description of all of my videos. Check out my video I'm gonna do tomorrow on, let me see. Oh, fucked up my camera there. I'm gonna do a video on tomorrow here. Also, of course, I'll do the Dusty's plugs for him here. Subscribe to Dusty's channel, Woke Centrist, where we talk about all this awesome fantasy shit all the time and nerd out like motherfuckers about it. Click that bell to be notified when he comes out with new videos. Oh yeah, also both of our channels, with every single video, you should also smash the like button, molest it, make sweet love to it, elbow drop it, whatever you want to do, as long as you press it. And yeah, check out our other future nerd conversations on all kinds of fantasy stuff, fantasy shows, fantasy adaptations. Check out not only our other episodes about season 1 of the Wheel of Time show, also Dusty, Tristram, and I have been talking about each one of the Wheel of Time books. I forget which book we're on. I think we're on maybe book 9 or 10, and there are 15 books. So let me see. I'm going to check to see what book we're on here. Hope Dusty's back in a minute. I don't know what happened. And I am not capable of ending this chat myself. Oh, message Dusty here. You there, Dusty? Let's message him. There. Stream is still going. You got kicked out. Might just leave in a minute here. Hopefully ends the stream. Mentioned all our plugs. I'm probably gonna go. Oh, there he is. Oh, there you are. I was just messaging you and saying I mentioned all of both of our our plugs rather. I was about to go.
Yeah, I had to run downstairs and then get a battery bank and then charge my phone until I got to 1%.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
just tried to mostly talk while you were gone, and I mentioned my channel and all my plugs and told people to subscribe to this channel and check out future conversations on both of our channels and whatnot.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. My battery died. All right. Well, thank you guys for sticking about. Like and subscribe. Smash the like button. Smash that subscribe button. To keep in touch with us. We still have some more Wheel of Time content coming up. I'm just finishing book 11.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that too. I didn't remember what book we're on. I thought maybe we're on 9 or 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, we're on. I think it's I don't know. We're on book after Winter's Heart. We're on that book, which I believe is book 10, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so yeah, we'll talk about that soon. I'm like on the last chapter, so I'll let you know when I'm done with that, and then we can plan to do that one in the future.
Cool. Yeah, Winter's Heart is book 9, so we must be on book 10.
Yeah, so we're on book 10, and we're going to be wrapping that book up pretty soon, within the next few weeks, and we'll definitely talk about it on stream, and I'll arrange for some time to talk about it. But
yeah, want to message me and tell me what chapters we're going to cover?
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you know.
All right. Yeah, always fun to talk, man. Always fun to have people see us nerd out. Hope everyone liked that.
Yeah, and you guys have a great night, day, wherever you guys are. And thank you for watching. See you next time.
Adios until next time, everyone.